What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to episode 49 of C4SVillains. I am your host JB and I am here with two members of the Council of Villains, my boys Vash and Steve, and when he's not listening to the weekend's Dawn FM, he is Brian Dupre, a true Popaholic on the Popaholics podcast. Guys, thank you so much for joining me.
Oh, it's so great to be here, man. This is an absolute honor. When I am able to make it, these Friday night shows are just a treat every week. You know, I could just talk shit down below and you guys can react as necessary, just trying to keep things entertaining. And seeing, my brothers, Chris and Christian, on frequently the last couple months, I've been getting only a little jealous. So I really appreciate being invited back on. This is a treat.
Yeah, man, it's going to be a lot of
fun. I'm glad to see you not from the chat side and here. So hopefully the chat's still alive without you being here, and glad to see you be entertaining with us now.
I have officially met all of the Popaholics now, so
that is very true.
Yes,
that's very true.
I've been here. I've been a fan. Well, I really joined in during the Kung Fu month. That was when I joined in to the Popaholics brand. And
what a month!
Yeah. I really enjoyed your Kung Fu Hustle review. That shit was hilarious.
Oh yes, man. It's always good coming back to that one. It's got some classic scenes.
I have met the whole crew of Popaholics since 2020, but as a guest, I've been on their show since the Vision review. So it's been great. It's about to make a full year. So I'm very excited to have now the whole cast being on our show of Villains. So it's great to have them now.
The C4SVillains extended universe has fully transitioned to the Popaholics.
Yes.
There's a Venn diagram now.
That is very true. Nice.
We're the villains and they're the Midnight Suns, finally.
Okay.
That's fun for that.
Yeah. Guys, we have a lot of great shit to talk about tonight. We're going to be talking about the Godzilla TV series coming to Apple TV+. The Batman is pretty much 3 hours long, which I'm very, very excited about. Space Entertainment Enterprise is building a movie studio in space with an arena in space by December 2024, which is absolutely insane. They're also going to be co-producing Tom Cruise's movie that he's going to be filming partially in space. And then, unfortunately, Black Panther 2 has paused filming yet again after just starting up filming like a week ago. So we got a lot of great stuff to talk about. And then, of course, the main topic, we're going to be breaking down all of Peacemaker episode 4, which is by far my favorite of the 4 episodes so far. So really fun night.
And are we going to talk about the Moon Knight trailers? Because it came out this past Monday.
Yes. Yeah, I completely forgot to put that on the show notes. Thank you so much for reminding me. We can talk about that too.
I'm like, damn, we're not talking about that? But makes sense. I'm glad I brought it up.
Yeah, see, this is why I send the show notes early in the week. Whenever you think of something, just put it down on the show notes, bro.
I should start checking them much earlier then, because I was checking them right before the show started.
But first news topic, let's just dive right into it. So Godzilla and the MonsterVerse, which is the best part of this, the legendary MonsterVerse, all of this is connected and it's all going to be in a TV series coming to Apple TV+. And I'm beyond excited about this. I love Godzilla. I love Legendary's MonsterVerse. They're just some of the most like pure fun movies ever. Godzilla vs. Kong was just like I just said, one of the most pure fun movies I've ever seen in my entire life. Watching Godzilla and Kong team up against Mecha Godzilla is just some of the greatest shit I've ever seen in cinema. So to hear that they're going to do a TV series fleshing out this universe even more, that makes me so excited. It being on Apple TV Plus, you know they're gonna put the money into it, so I'm not worried about the budget. I'm not worried about the CGI, the VFX, any of that stuff. So, Brian, as our guest, I'm gonna kick it to you first, and I want to know your thoughts on the Godzilla TV series that's coming up.
Yeah, I was really excited to hear about this as well. Actually, we covered this set of movies in the MonsterVerse on Popaholics as well, and I really kind of fell in love with this style of movie. It's very much my sort of blockbuster. I think personally, Kong Skull Island is probably the most consistent front to back as a movie for me of the movies. Um, but all of them have really great stuff to offer, and some of the movies that are really worth seeing on the big screen, taking the scale seriously in really fun ways. What excites me most about this, though, is I think there's so much interesting lore to dive into that is touched on in the movies and hinted at in terms of the ancient myths and the inspirations that these monsters kind of led to. And I'd really be interested to see a lot of that more fleshed out, because the lore is something that the spectacle kind of takes over instead in the movies. And I think a TV show where they have more time to dive into this stuff is going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah. So, question for you: would you like to see them do like a? I mean, I can only assume there's going to be like a sequel to everything else that we've seen. Would you like to see a part of that series take place in the Hollow Earth, and just to experience like literally a world that we've never been a part of before?
Oh, 100%. And I imagine they're going to, but I would really like to see some time hopping as well, and kind of things maybe playing back and forth between the modern world and the ancient world. I think there's a lot of potential there.
Yeah, very true. Steve, what about you? What's your excitement level for this?
I'm actually really excited about it. I haven't been really a Godzilla fan like that, or really the whole Kaiju fan at all. And then when Godzilla and Kong came out and the entire world was talking about it, and I watched it, I was like, yo, this is actually really, really fun. And I enjoyed it. And I'm like, now I'm into it and I would like to see more. Um, the King Kong movie that I enjoyed was The Skull Island. That's the one with Samuel L. Jackson and the guy from NWA. I can't even remember his name. But they're in there as well. And I was just like, oh, okay, this one is pretty interesting. And I thought it was really good. But the King Kong one was the Godzilla versus Kong was really fun. It was just like action, and then it was just like you're rooting for one, and you're like, I'm hoping this one's gonna win, but Godzilla kind of broken. So it was kind of like one of those things where it was like you knew what was gonna happen, but it was like opposable thumbs. And so that's pretty much what that whole fight was about. And it was like right when you thought King Kong was winning, King Kong is just fist to fist, and then Godzilla uses his fire. So he brought a gun to a fight, and it's like, oh,
Yeah,
okay.
man.
It's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Kong's great, but he's standing in front of a god, man.
Yeah. So now I'm actually excited to see what they're going to do with the TV series. And I watched the Netflix, the CGI anime movies that they have on Netflix, and I watched those. And
I haven't watched
okay.
them yet. I need to. Sam has, but
I can't get past the CG. Like it's
Sam,
gonna take me a while to watch it.
Sam has said that like they're more than average. Like I think he gave them a score like 4 out of 5 or like 3.5.
Yeah,
like
they're really good, bro.
I mean,
that's
pretty good.
So like once I got past like, oh, okay, they're monsters, they're not actually people. Because like that was my thing before. I was like, oh, okay, I don't really care. Like I'm more careful about like actual emotion and fighting and stuff like that. But I actually got past it, and now I'm like, oh, okay, I'm all in. So I'm actually excited about this. I need to find someone who's got Apple Plus, but
you got time.
Good.
Yeah, man, I love this universe. Like I said, like Kong Skull Island, like you said, Brian, it's so consistent in everything that it is from beginning to end. I love Tom Hiddleston in that movie, Brie Larson, Steve, like you said, Samuel L. Jackson. I can't remember the actor's name from Straight Outta Compton that you were talking about, but the cast is really, really good. I think they hoed Toby Kebbell in that movie. I love Toby Kebbell. I think he's such a good actor, but he just gets hoed in movies all the time. It's really sad to watch, honestly. Fat Four Stick. I was like, oh, Toby Kebbell as Doom. This is amazing casting, and then they completely fucking hoed him. But yeah, there's only like one other thing that really bugs me in Kong Skull Island is Tom Hiddleston's character is wearing the gas mask, right? Because he's running through the field or whatever, and then he takes it off in the middle of it to slice up some of the kaijus. I'm like, this doesn't make any sense, bro, but I'll roll with it.
Just
He
for
looks cool.
dramatic effect.
He looks cool.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't care. I don't care. Just do it. Do what you got to do.
But yeah, it's nuts. Yeah, so Nova, yes. So O'Shea Jackson Jr. was in Godzilla. What was it? Godzilla King of Monsters. But in Kong Skull Island, there was another one from Straight Outta Compton. I'm blanking on his name. I'm gonna look it up here in a second. Vash.
All three of them were in like the universe.
Oh, really? That's dope.
Yeah.
And by the way, don't kill me. I still have not seen Strata Compton. If it's on some type of streaming service, please let me know because I will watch it because I've really been meaning to. I just haven't had the chance to see it.
Good movie. But
but for my thoughts for this, I love kaijus. If you've seen our show of Showing Ron and Kaiju Number 8, that's a show. I mean, that's a series we promote. That's a series that we love to talk about. So we love kaijus and we love storytelling. And like, who wouldn't love gods or monsters fighting against each other to see which one triumphs of them all? So like, that's just the most entertaining aspect. And I'm glad some type of monster universe is surviving because Universal's universe kind of just likes to slump and be dying out there. So I'm glad one universe is surviving, and I'm glad with all this CG and money and with this whole pandemic, I'm glad the movie of Godzilla King of Monsters did not make the studio falter and feel like just because they didn't bring back a lot of money in return, they are still pushing to make more content of it within the same universe. So I'm very happy about that. And plus, I agree with Steve with Apple Plus TV. I need to ask for a friend account because I work for them, and I agree with James. They have budget, they have money, so we are good. We are in good hands because they pay very well to their staff. So I'm sure very well that they will put the money where their mouth is. So I am very excited for this. Apple TV has been doing good content over the years. I've seen clips of their content over social media over the years, and from what I could tell, their productions are very well lit, very well done, the costumes and everything. So I have no worry about it. But this is a different type since it's more involving a lot of CG animation and everything, since you're dealing with monsters. So I'm curious as a TV series, I don't think we have had any type of kaiju type of TV series, have we? Or we have had it but like years ago? Is it the first time?
I can't think of one, honestly.
Yeah, so this would be interesting because this is a TV series on Apple TV, so this would be interesting.
Yeah, man, I'm very excited for this. I mean, anything I can get in this MonsterVerse. I remember right after Godzilla versus Kong, they talked about like a rumored Son of Kong type movie that might have gone into development. But to hear this, I mean, this is way better. Even if it's only like an 8-episode limited series with like an hour-long episodes, there's so much you could do with 8 hours of this content in the MonsterVerse. There's so much shit you can do. And like you were saying, Brian, like I would love for them to do some time hopping because the Titans have been around literally forever. So it would be very cool for them to jump around in a couple different places in time across the world. It'll be really cool because there's no way we've seen all of the kaijus. Monarch has been around for a while, so it's like there's no way we've seen them all. So we know there's more antagonists for Kong, especially in the Hollow Earth too. There's more antagonists for everyone, so there's so much potential.
So I think
I was just gonna add to that my guess, a question to you guys and chat. Do you think that if this does succeed as well, do you think this would be a chance to have a reboot for the Pacific Rim franchise in a TV series?
I would
because
personally love that.
And everything else. So that's why I'm saying, do you think if this succeeds, do you think studios would be like, oh, this we should bring back the Pacific Rim and as a TV series? Since I love 1, I haven't seen 2 yet, but I heard that 2 was a letdown to a lot of people.
Shit. So I would do a reboot quel and do a series with Pacific Rim. So kind of what they set up in the second one is really intriguing, and I don't want to spoil it for you since you haven't seen it. But the things that they set up with what the kaijus have evolved into and what they wanted to do in the final scene, I would love a series of what happens after that. Right? I don't want them to start from the beginning all over again. I don't need that. Just like kind of somewhat retcon the second movie, but make some things canon and then just move on from it in the series. I think that would be really dope. Because I love Pacific Rim. One of my favorite, just pure fun movies, and it looks insane on Blu-ray.
This is a huge blind spot for me, and I'm a big Guillermo del Toro fan, so I need to see Pacific Rim.
Dude, you haven't seen Pacific Rim?
One. I haven't.
Wait, one or
it's
two?
embarrassing. One or two.
Brian,
one
no!
is amazing.
I know.
One
I know.
is amazing.
Shame me, please. Bring the shame. I need to watch this.
It's so good. Like, let me go see where can you watch it. Maybe you can watch it tonight.
Oh man,
this is
dude!
such a good.
All right.
Brian,
Yeah,
Pacific
you can point
Rim.
me to it.
I watch Pacific Rim maybe 2-3 times a year. The
Oh my
movie is
gosh,
just
wow.
so insanely fun and awesome, and the visual effects are insane. They're nuts. Like, oh my god, Brian,
All right,
you're killing
all
me.
right.
You're killing me.
you
Selling,
have-
I'm sold. I'm sold.
If you have $4 to watch it on Amazon Prime, Apple TV, Vudu, or YouTube, you can watch it there because
All
it's
right.
on no streaming service unless you rent it.
Okay, that's
Yeah,
that's
'cause I
reasonable.
mean,
$4
it's-
I can handle.
It's Jaegers against kaijus, and them like going over the history of like the very first Jaegers that they made to go against the kaijus, and how in a couple days and a couple weeks the kaijus almost wiped out civilization in certain parts of the planet. And dude, it gets
Wow.
it gets political. It's funny. There's everything in this movie, dude. Oh my god, I can't believe you haven't seen it.
It was not. I'm telling you, I've been meaning to watch this for years. I just haven't, but
Oh, man, okay.
I will. I'll let you know when I do as well.
Okay,
It happens, man. Like some movies just slide under the radar, and you're just like, what
This
the
is
fuck?
it.
dude.
Yeah.
But Pacific Rim.
I know. I know. It's not like I haven't heard people rave about it because I have. So this is very much my fault.
Yeah, you'll love the music. Like a lot of it takes place in like in China and Japan and a lot of different places. Like, so you're gonna see some gorgeous cinematography, and man, the fight sequences with the Jaegers and the kaijus, nuts. Just they're nuts. Idris is amazing. Crap, why am I blanking on his name right now? He played Jax Teller on Sons of Anarchy. I can't believe I'm blanking on his name right now.
I haven't watched them.
Oh my god, I feel
Same
terrible.
here.
Chat, correct me. I can't believe I'm blanking right now.
So it's not Ron Perlman, is it?
No.
'cause I know he's worked with
Ron
Del
Perlman's
Toro.
in the movie as a
He is in
random
it?
character.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
but I'm talking about the lead. I can't believe I'm blanking on his name right now.
Charlie Hunnam.
Charlie Hunnam. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Yeah, and he's really charismatic, like Charlie Hunnam is. But yeah, definitely check it out. Please let me know what you think, and if you do a review on Popaholics, I have to be on that episode.
Same.
Noted.
If I'm not
Noted, for
invited,
sure.
we're gonna have issues.
Same. I want to review Pacific Rim because it's such a good one, man. Like it's like a Power Ranger, except you just more adultish, I guess, if that makes sense.
Kind of, I
Hey,
guess. Yeah.
That's a solid sell. Hey, I think we're overdue for a Guillermo del Toro month, so we'll make it happen at some point.
Yes.
Man, Hellboy 3. I wish we got that, man. But he just asked for too much money.
He wanted too much money. The studio wasn't with it. I mean, the movies made their money back, but yeah, I guess not enough to put 200 million plus into it. So I get it.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah, so let's move on to our second news topic. So the Batman is officially 2 hours and 55 minutes long with about 8 minutes of credits. I absolutely love this. There's so much to do in this universe with Matt Reeves, and this was a huge mistake that WB made with Justice League, right? They told him, hey, you got 2 hours with credits, and the movie suffered drastically from it, right? With a bunch of other issues. But with this tells me Matt Reeves is delving into Bruce Wayne as a character, his journey and descent into becoming the Batman. We got Penguin, there's Catwoman, there's the Riddler, there's Commissioner Gordon, there's the Signs of the Long Halloween. There's so many things in this movie, and 3 hours is just the right amount of time to tell this kind of story. And I know Matt Reeves is going to kill it. This is a 3 hour origin movie out of a trilogy. So I am beyond excited that it's 255. So Brian, I'm going to toss it to you again. What are your thoughts on the runtime being 255?
So I am very much too much on Twitter. So there's been every like few months there's a discourse about length of movies and the length that after this you have to justify quality exponentially. And I kind of just reject this whole conversation, because if a movie's great, I sat down and watched The Irishman for 3.5 hours, right? It's like, if a movie is compelling enough, it doesn't matter how long it is, you know? So with the amount of villains and side characters that they're trying to tackle here, this makes me really happy that it's giving everyone time to breathe, plus the obligatory origin story. We'll see how Matt Reeves handles that, because we know we have to see it in some form. Although I'm hoping that maybe he misdirects a little bit and switches it up. But you know, I'm not going to get my hopes too high there. But yeah, this sort of movie, in the article that you had sent for us, it compares it to other comic book movies, and Zack Snyder's Justice League is much longer, obviously. But Endgame was the only other comic book movie that was longer, and they compared it to the Zodiac run length. And that I kind of paused then, because I was like, David Fincher's Zodiac is, in terms of this sort of movie, top quality for me.
Facts.
So I don't want to compare it by length necessarily, but it makes me hopeful that it's not much longer than Zodiac. And if we get this true gritty detective story that we really haven't seen in a deep dive fashion from Batman, there's so much great potential there. And from the trailers of this movie, the cast, Robert Pattinson, Paul Dano, Colin Farrell, Zoe Kravitz, I mean, what's not to like, you know? I'm ridiculously excited for this one.
Yeah, man, I can't wait to see this movie. Like, I've been saying for years, Robert Pattinson would be an amazing Batman, and to see that he was cast, and now we're just like, what, a month away, like a month and a couple weeks away from the Batman. Like, we're so close. Something else we'll talk about is the fact that Matt Reeves just finished QCing the movie in IMAX and Dolby Vision. I can't wait to see it in Dolby Vision. I'll see it like 15,000 times in Dolby Vision. I can't wait. Like, I've been gushing over the cinematography just from the trailers alone, and now I get 3 hours of it. Something that I love in the trailers is it's this small little sequence when he's beating the shit out of this thug, I can only assume, and it's just the fear in Selena Kyle's eyes in watching him do it. It's like, this is the brutality, this is the Batman, this is the vengeance that he's become, and Matt Reeves is truly exploring that. God, I can't wait.
I think it's going to be surprising. He's actually beating up Peacemaker for the shit talking he did in episode 4.
Like,
Steve, what about you?
Your shit, know your place.
So for me, I'm actually like, okay, if you're gonna tell the story and get everything out, I'm cool with it. Because as you know, I am in the bias. Penguin is one of my favorite Batman villains. So I'm like, okay, we're gonna get 2 hours and 55 minutes of, you know, Batman, including the Penguin. Okay, cool. I was like, I'm gonna enjoy that. So, and then I love the Riddler's costume. Like, it's completely different than what we normally get. So I'm like, okay, I'm interested to see what the fuck is going on with the Riddler. So 2 hours and 55 minutes. I'm all right. I'm all in. You know what I'm saying? I'm all in. I'm excited to see. I might, you know what I'm saying? If I have to see it at the theater. If I don't see it at the theater, it will be like, I'll watch an hour and a half and then end up taking a break because so much stuff going around my house. That's just how my life works. But hopefully I'll get to see it at the theater and I can just sit straight through it with no interruptions.
Dude, but, I hope you can.
Yeah, I want to sit through it and watch it with no interruptions. But if it's on HBO Max or something like that, and I get stuck watching it at home, I'm definitely going to have to, the way my family is set up, I'm going to have no choice.
But man, I'm so excited for the Riddler. Like, Paul Dano is, and I mean this in the most respectful way possible, is the perfect weirdo to be Riddler in a movie. Like, it's just like, dude, this is excellent casting. Like, this dude is going to play this genius leveled intellect psychopath. It's like, yeah, Paul Dano, of course, that's the guy you get, right? So very, very excited for this. Vash, what about you? What are your thoughts on the runtime?
I really don't understand why people complaining online when they saw it. Like 255. I'm like, why is he getting a 255 film? Like, was it something like, how about you guys know that there's been 80 plus years of storytelling in Batman, and we're only seeing a fraction of his storytelling from only a small amount of directors and has been told in different perspective. And now we're getting actually his first year of Batman in a live action where we only have seen it in animated, and in the future on Batman Beyond we only seen clips of his Fastman like first year of who he was and how he was, like James said, brutal to actually understand what it is to be a hero or like a vigilante. So now we're finally seeing that through the hardships and knowing that was the two sides of a coin of knowing the Bruce Wayne and the Batman, knowing that he has to show one personality to the city of Gotham and then another personality to the city of thugs and villains and Penguin and Riddler, all these people out here. So I'm fine with it. Even though I did complain about the Avatar, the first one being 3 hours, and I still have never seen it, and I still don't care for it. But for the Batman, I am excited for it because the 255 film.
Wait a
It's
second.
awesome.
Wait a second here, Vash. Are you talking about James Cameron's Avatar?
He
Yeah.
just zoomed past it like it was nothing.
Okay.
Like,
All right. I
like,
don't feel nearly as bad about not having seen Pacific Rim now. Everyone saw Avatar 5 times, Vash.
Literally,
Five times. I
everyone.
have never seen I've never finished the first viewing. I just saw like 20,
Wow.
30 minutes max. And I'm like, this ain't
Damn.
for me. I'm good. I'm
Okay.
past. This is whack.
That's wild. You're like
yeah.
Pocahontas. I'd prefer it. Whatever.
Yeah,
Maybe-
as far as the story goes, is again, Pocahontas dances with wolves, but for me, it's the world of Pandora. It's the visual effects, the camera technology that James Cameron literally created to make
Right.
this movie. So that's really what excites me about Avatar and the sequels. I can't wait for Avatar 2. That has the same release date as Aquaman 2. That's something else we can talk about.
Big water
later on.
movies. Yeah, it's in terms of
Maybe-
which one's going to get moved though, James. Which one has been moved 45 times already? I think that's all we have to ask ourselves.
I mean, yeah, so the answer would be Avatar 2, but I mean, that's the bigger draw. I mean, you don't tell James Cameron to move.
Oh,
Like,
no, I know. I'm largely joking. I'm super excited for that movie too, though, really.
Yeah, me
maybe
too.
I should rewatch it since now it's been like 10 plus years of it's being out. I work in production. I maybe will have a more understanding and appreciation about the film of the
You
Avatar.
will, dude.
And also a bit salty of as a kid. When I heard Avatar, I thought, oh shit, I'm gonna see a live action of Avatar: The Last Airbender. Then I see some blue fucking people. I'll be like, this ain't my shit. What the fuck is this? So maybe I've been biased, mad about it as a kid. Like, you know what?
Didn't the last
this ain't my-
Airbender come out like 2 years before? No.
2 years
that
after.
was after, right?
It came 2
Was
years
it was
after.
after Avatar.
Yeah, correct.
they
So
had to name it the last Airbender.
I can't remember. I'd have to look it up. Yeah.
They couldn't meet that standard of calling it Avatar, so they had to name it the last Airbender. There was no
Yes.
way that they could name it Avatar after the fucking movie that just came out 2 years prior to it. There's
Yeah,
no
that's
way.
a good point.
And it's
Well, overall-
and it's good.
So yeah, Last Airbender was literally the year after. It was 2010. Avatar was
There was
2009.
no fucking-
yeah.
I
So
bet you they
like,
changed the name after after all the sales. They were like, let's name it the Last Airbender.
Yeah, I don't blame people for not being big on Avatar because I mean, again, like this, it's a long movie, and the story doesn't really challenge you in any way. You've seen it before a million times, but like again, like for me, it's just the production value and the world of Pandora. It's a world I've never seen before. Avatar 2 is going to take it underwater. We're going to see other civilizations, other parts of the planet. We're going to explore so many different things. James Cameron is changing filming technology yet again to film some of these crazy underwater scenes. So, yeah, Avatar 2 is going to be insane. But back to the Batman runtime.
yeah. My last thoughts for it is I'm excited for it, and I forgot who said it in chat. It was Mercenary. This also will be a great addition to him being a detective, for him to see him how his roots are, because we have never seen that in a live action way. We have only seen that in cartoons, in his Batman animated series, and much more in the comics overall. So to see it, to have his understanding of his psychological physique of how who he became and why he became who he is today. So I'm excited for it. 255. Brian brought it up. We saw the fucking Zack Snyder movie that's almost fucking 6 hours. Some people said it online.
I wish it was 6 hours.
Okay, 4 hours. Right, that's 4 hours, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so 4 hours. People said online that they didn't pause it once. So if you cannot pause it once and you goes home, all right, cool. You have nothing to complain about in a movie theater because it's the same shit. 250 hours, just 1 hour and 5 minutes less, and there's an 8-minute credit, which I'm still wondering. I've never heard of an 8-minute credit, so I'm like, what are you showing us? Because I know you have a trilogy plan, so I'm like, what you showing us? What are you planning, my guy? 8-minute credits? That's interesting.
Yeah, we'll see, man. But let's move on to our next news topic. So, like we talked about, there's going to be a movie studio in space. Like, just think about that for a second. There's going to be a movie studio in space, and this movie studio is co-producing one of Tom Cruise's next projects, in which he will film scenes literally in space. Now, if you check out the article, it's also going to be able to dock and undock from the International Space Station, which is absolutely crazy. So think about sporting events in 0G, literally in space. It's absolutely crazy. It's a great time to be alive. Space Entertainment Enterprise, thank you so much for doing this. Like, this is just like the coolest thing ever. Like, we're getting so much closer to just like going to space being mainstream. You know, we have SpaceX and a couple other different places that allow you to, you know, go up into space and just spend like 2 hours just hovering above the earth, you know. And now there's going to be a movie studio in space with a sporting arena in space. So great time to be alive. This is incredible news. I can't wait for this to actually be a thing. Again, they're shooting for December 2024. We'll see what happens there, but I can't wait for this. So, Brian, what are your thoughts?
So I don't want to totally rain on your parade here, but I'll start here. When I first heard the Tom Cruise shooting a movie in space thing, I am 100% on board with this. If anyone, if any actor, if any person on Earth is more dedicated to a role than Tom Cruise, I don't think we've found them yet. This man will go above and beyond for action movies. He will train as an astronaut to do this movie. I'm sure of it. And he's Tom Cruise, so he has the money behind him to make this sort of thing feasible. Once we start talking about movies, plural, being made in space, and the technical, what that would actually entail and the cost of going to space, 2024, maybe they will have a structure that's up there and docked by that point. But I was just looking, I did some quick research on the cost that it takes to have an astronaut on the International Space Station, and it's about $6.8 million per day. So if you think about cast and crew, the prices, that's not even getting there, I don't think. The prices are just astronomically high. But to your point, I read Ender's Game in high school. There is this game that they play that there's no up and down because of the gravity, and the potential, like, it would be cool as shit to see something like this. I'm not going to lie to you. So I just think 2024 is a very much an unrealistic date.
Oh yeah.
But there is so much cool potential, and I'm 100% certain that whatever Tom Cruise does, I'm going to be first in line to see. So to see. It's bad.
Knowing Tom Cruise, I was like, well, I'll just hold my breath for 10 minutes in space. I can do it, right? I'm Tom Cruise.
I was reading articles about this, and there's because like you said, there's commercial flights that are happening now where people can pay to go to the space station, and the regulatory agency is like, we don't recommend non-astronauts doing spacewalks. And I was like, were they allowing them to do spacewalks before? Like, yeah, I hope they're not. Jesus.
Yeah, I'm on the fence about it the same way. Like,
Dave.
Okay.
It's exciting.
I'm sorry,
to
James.
hear. Like,
James is like the most
exciting to
happiest
hear.
little girl, like thinking like, we going to space, let's go.
Let's go to space.
It's exciting to hear, and it's like, oh, that sounds really cool. And then you think about everything else, and it's
Right?
like,
It's sketchy as hell. Like,
so
how
much
can you
bad
do
stuff. can
2
happen.
years.
Like,
No way, 2 years.
Imagine if this movie is in production and then something goes wrong, and it's like
A
Fuck.
cosmic wave. The Fantastic Four gets made out of nowhere instead of
I
actually a
wasn't
movie
even
gets
thinking-
done in
I
real
was thinking
life.
about something crazy dangerous. Like you're in space, so it's gonna be freezing. Number one. Number two
Yeah,
is
that too.
you're outside and like you got the camera there, but like it's not like being in a pool with a lifeguard. It's like you're in space. you're trying to shoot a scene in space. Like it's not the same. like if something goes wrong and you start drifting, that's it. Like
Game over.
That sounds.
When you said that, all I'm thinking about is the guy that had to jump out of the plane with Tom Cruise in Mission Impossible Fallout, and someone having to like be in space holding a fucking camera in a space suit and a camera rig. Like,
I could imagine someone being like, they don't pay me enough for this shit. Hell nah. I'm here in space. Like, I don't get enough experience for this.
the insurance. Oh my god.
Where do you hold
Unreal.
the camera? Are you holding the camera outside of the helmet, or is the camera inside the helmet with you? Like, how does this work? Like, there's a lot of stuff that could be. I don't know. I think it sounds really great, but it's just like this sounds dangerous.
It's like
I'm more so worried about the danger. Like,
No risk, no reward.
Asteroid shower just decides, hey, we're making a turn. Like, what the fuck? Like, there could be anything that could happen.
Yo, I know damn one person, if this actually works and Tom Cruise makes it working, year 2024 or 2025, right? And after the Fast and Furious 10 film is done on Earth, right? It's been out. Vince will be like, you know what? Guys, I want to make it Fast 11, but you know what? I spoke to Tom. We're going to use the space station and we're going to race around the moon. And we're going to steal something at the moon, or he's going to steal something in Mars. And that's going to be the next film. And Vin is going to somehow find some way to do it. Because somehow they did it in Fast 9. They went to space there. But you know what? Instead of fake space, let's go to real space.
Bro,
let's get
I'm
cars
telling
in
you,
space.
I'm telling you, the plot of F10 Part 1 and Part 2 is that there's an asteroid that's going to hit Earth, and only Dom and the crew can slingshot around the moon with their cars to land on the asteroid, drill into it, and blow it up using NOS tanks. We've talked about this before.
I know
It's
we
called
have.
Don't Rev Up.
Don't
I'm ready for this movie.
Yo, but it's like, I'm sorry, James. I'm here with Steve and Brian as well. I'm here on the fence about it because, like, as much as a young little lad, my big dream was to be in space. I love space. I love knowing that there's an outer world out of us. Like, we're the most smallest goddamn planet out of these other little giants one around us. And to know there's a moon, we could go be there. Awesome. But how the hell can you build a whole space station of making movies within 2 years? Like, we're in 22 already. Like, if they announce this in 2019, 2018, I'm like, hey, cool. You got a good 6-5 years. It's possible.
I mean, they've been working on it, you know?
Yeah,
like planning and
working on
all that stuff.
But like, to know there's blueprints, knowing that everything's done, and like knowing Tom Cruise, this man knows how to talk, and this man knows how to scream too. So it's just to know that this is gonna happen. It's like, to know it is like, whoa, but to actually believe it's happening is like, it's like the movie Don't Look Up. Like, yo, the asteroid's coming. So it's like, that's some bullshit. And then when you actually see it coming, like, oh shit, damn, it's coming. It's like, to actually realize the space station is done. Like, we come to year 2024 of December and see it. Yo, guys, the space station is done. Here's the pictures. And we actually see it from our crib, like see it from the moon, you know, have a little nice telescope and see it. That's when I'll actually believe it. And like, I'll be like, yo, James, I was wrong. Here's a good $20. Let's go. Right here. You was right. The space station. Tom is making the movie right now. Tom is literally about to jump, and like, I agree with Steve. The insurance, like, how do you carry the camera? Is there a grip there? Is there lighting? Because you know it's pitch black over there. Like, it's pitch black. Like, do you wait for the sun to turn? Like, hey guys,
It's going to be very
12 hours.
expensive. It's going to be
Like,
very, very expensive.
You just mentioned the expensiveness. Now, what if the movie sucks and it doesn't make any money? It's like, what the fuck? You just billions of dollars on a movie that
but
made...
it's Tom Cruise. It won't
and
suck.
how do you get the video footage
the
from the
money-
camera? Do you have to go into the station? It's cold, like it's freezing, like negative
Yeah,
100
they would have
degrees.
to develop special camera rigs.
Yeah.
Like
There's a lot.
there's a lot
to
of
this.
just be hour production. I'm trying to figure this out, like grip, electric. How do you get all the equipment from, like, those equipments are not light, it's heavy. So how do you get all those equipments up in space, have them space ready? How do you have to get the right angle to get the lighting? Like, do you use a sun lighting? Do you use natural darkness? Like, so many questions.
Let's
I
say
don't
the
know.
movie is really good, but let's say it looks exactly like Interstellar. Now you did all of this to get a natural setting, and it still looks the same as what we have here.
So
It's
you see,
like-
so
But look,
that's
Steve.
so that's what Nova was saying, right? Like he'd be pissed if they film in space and it just looks like gravity, right? So here's the thing: how do we make it look naturally as good as they make it with VFX, right? Because you just brought up Interstellar. I immediately just thought of the ship getting closer and closer to the fucking black hole, and I'm like, dude, you. Like I don't know
That
how
looks
they
real.
can, you know,
And, like-
it looks absolutely insane. How do you do anything even remotely close
And it's
to this
funny
in
'cause it's
space and like
they're
make
gonna
it
be
look
like,
good?
This is real. They're gonna be like, this is real, and you're gonna be like, yeah, but it doesn't look good. It's like,
And plus, James,
then what?
you're gonna see the Moonfall or some movie that's Moonlight.
Yes, I'm seeing Moonfall early. I'm seeing it on Wednesday, and I can't fucking wait.
So, like, for example, like, imagine if we see that, and when you see that, it's gonna look good with the special effects I'm talking about. So then, imagine we actually see the moon in space, like, and it doesn't look as good as the special effects. Like, it's gonna make you ask, like, was it really worth it? And to a thing Chris said, it might suck, but it will make its money. Because you know why, Steve? So many people are going to be wondering, how the hell does it look from space? How did Tom do this? People are going to see in theater just because of curiosity, not because they want to watch it. They just want to see because, like, how did Tom do this? How did we get the film crew to do this? Was this like me? If I could make some type of conversation, I will make myself go to space. If I don't have to see my wife and kids for years, I don't care. Yeah, I'm sorry. I just want to see the production. I just want to see how it gets done. I'm just curious. Like, I have so many more questions more than answers. Like, that's how, like, this idea. When James sent us in the group chat, I literally spoke to myself in my head like for 20 minutes. Of like, I stand myself to space. It's a head like, how the fuck us humans after 2,000 years being here? How are we gonna do this? Like we reach, but this just is reaching. I'm sorry. Like,
It's really the lighting. It's like, okay, so what techniques, like what do we use to bounce light off the sun to like make scenes look good? You know what I mean? Like it's the physics of it is really weird to think about.
it was like, I don't know the name of this movie, but if we were kids back in Disney Channel, they had a show that there's a space station in space, and they actually live in space and everything. I forgot what was the show.
Someone mentioned it in chat. Probably Xenon Girl of the 21st
Yes,
century.
that one.
22nd
Yes,
century.
that one.
Whatever the fuck it is.
Nice, James. Yes, that one. Exactly. So it's like, would it be like that where they film and they go inside the station, take off their suits, have regular space food that looks like shit, but it eats and tastes good? So is that's how gonna be living and creating space content?
Yeah.
I wonder
just very
if
curious.
because when I was thinking about it, I had to think that the place that they're filming would have to have like modules that you could move around, because you have to have sets to some degree too, right?
Right.
So it's going to be very interesting to see like how the sets are designed, like you said, with the lighting. There's got to be like, I got to imagine revolutionary camera tech, because it would be so difficult to get the best cameras up there. But I'm excited to see where this goes. Tom Cruise. I just hope this movie gets made and the production runs smoothly. You know what I mean? This is a ridiculous undertaking. So fingers crossed, because it's going to be monumental regardless of how the movie comes out.
Yeah.
Have we seen a movie where the entire movie is like zero gravity?
An entire movie? I don't think
Because that's pretty
I've
much
seen
what,
one.
I think that's what
Yeah, I
we're
don't
about to get. Unless they film something here, then travel.
Imagine.
Yeah, like I don't think
Imagine-
the entire movie is going to take place like in space. Like it might take place on like a space station, so they'll have a lot of interior shit and then they'll do stuff outside as well. That's how I'm thinking about it, at least, but who knows?
Yeah.
Imagine James Cameron is the one that actually does this as directing it, because that'd be interesting. James Cameron, he'll be like, "What? You're gonna have a TV space station to create content, to create movies?
I
Let
would
me
love
go
that.
up there." You know
But
what?
Chris
I have a
McQuarrie
vision.
is going to be
Cameras.
directing the Tom Cruise movie.
Oh, is he?
Ah.
Yeah.
Okay, it's clearly going to be great then.
Yeah.
I mean,
Dude,
the
go ahead.
Mission Impossible movies. I mean, Fallout was just
Fallout's amazing.
ridiculously insane. After that, I was like, all right, McQuarrie or die. I'm
Right.
here for it.
It's crazy, dude. Fallout's my favorite. Like, how does it keep getting better and better as they go on? So I think at some point we're going to see Tom Cruise jump out of a space station and literally free dive to Earth.
He's got a red bullet. Oh
Yeah.
my god.
He's gonna be like, "Oh, I can do that shit,"
I feel so bad for the cameraman because there's
and
someone
I'll do it with
that's
no.
supportive.
I'll do it with no parachute.
Like
I feel so bad.
him falling.
I'll just
the
fall into a
cameraman,
net.
Like, it's like they don't pay me enough for this insurance. Where's my insurance? Where's my health care? Just falling and falling and falling.
Like,
My god.
once he hits the fucking gravitational pull, he's gonna fucking burn.
Burn, right?
That shit is not gonna work. I hope he doesn't do that.
I don't.
Again.
There's not a safe way to do that.
Again, the technology, like I never expected in my years of content creating, I never expect to have a 20-minute or so conversation about making content in space. Like this is something
It's
I never-
really
And
cool,
you know
man.
what's funny?
It's really
This is
cool.
more interesting than the fucking Space Force. This is way more interesting than that.
And this is more interesting that I'm shocked that it got announced was season 2 of the space content from Netflix. I'm sorry, never found it entertaining. I couldn't pass episode 3, the one with
Steve Carell.
Oh, literally Space
Steve
Force, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
Space
Space
Force.
Force.
Yeah.
Oh yes, that one then. Yes, yeah. I was
I thought
not.
it was
I was
okay.
not.
Yeah, I thought it was okay too. Brian, did
thought
you
it was
see any
gonna-
of Space Force?
I didn't know.
Okay.
I went in thinking, oh, it's gonna be The Office, and it didn't end up being that, but it was still okay. It wasn't
Yeah.
hilarious. Like
It was okay. Like if I had to give it, it was like a 2.5 or a solid 2 out of 5. Like it was okay. Like it was entertaining at points, but it never made me laugh. It was just entertaining overall. Like it was okay.
Yeah.
That's fair. That's definitely
Mark,
fair.
if they ever cross over Mission Impossible Fast and Furious, I will fucking lose it. I would love for Dom just be like, I know a guy, and it's literally Tom Cruise. I was like, yes, no, please.
At that point, I'll be like, all right, if we're crossing moves, just give me some type of Fast and Furious or G.I. Joe and then make it into
I mean,
like some
Dom and the
Transformers.
crew, they might as well be the IMF
Thank you.
without the equipment. Like, they might as well be the IMF. Like, what's the difference? They drive cars.
The way I feel like they've been turning into the G.I. Joes because they literally are built. They have on the way Tyrese said like, yo, we don't get hurt, we don't die, we invincible. I'm like, yeah, I like G.I. Joes because like the G.I. Joes, like one person dies every 3-5 years in the team, but other than that, yeah, mostly live. So yeah, like the Joes out here.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And Nova, Elon Musk is also a producer on this movie. So it's
You lie.
it's nuts, man.
Wow.
This-
Okay, yeah. All right.
this
cool.
movie is going to be insane. Anything
We're-
Tom Cruise touches, I'm ready.
We got some Teslas out there too. Oh my god, a Tesla space right there. A Tesla spaceship. Right there. Wow.
Yeah,
a
man.
whole
But
past my screen.
I could literally talk about space in this forever. But let's move on to our next news topic. So Black Panther 2, again, we talked about, has paused filming yet again. A bunch of crewmates and I believe Lupita Nyong'o also came down with coronavirus, which fucking sucks. So filming has paused yet again. So it's like, it's just crazy how much issues this production has had. But I have all the faith in Kevin Feige and Ryan Coogler. They will make it out the other side. I'm sure it'll have to be delayed. I don't think they'll be able to keep the release date. But I know it's still going to be a good movie. James Wan had a lot to deal with, with Paul's passing, with Furious 7. They made it work. Furious 7 is still a really good movie. I believe it's still the most profitable Fast and Furious movie they've made. So I still think it's going to be a great movie. Ryan Coogler will find a way to make it work. Winston Duke is going to be getting paid more. He has a much bigger role in this movie as well. A lot of people are speculating that he might become the next Black Panther.
I hope
Not
he's
sure.
so good.
Not sure how if that's going to be the thing. I would love for him to be, but I think it would make sense to pass the mantle to Shuri. I think that would make sense. But I mean, either way it goes, I don't care. So, Brian, I want to start with you. Like, how do you feel about this news and like yet again another delay?
It's just a bummer. They can't catch a break with this movie. And I'm obviously everyone is really excited for this. Black Panther was such a huge smash hit. Chadwick Boseman tragically passed. And this movie is kind of feels like it's going to be a catharsis, that the way everyone's talking about it, very much going to be a love letter to Chadwick Boseman and to the character. And yeah, I'm thankful that they haven't moved the date yet, but to your point, they probably will, because depending on how long this takes. What kind of caught my eye about the article that you had sent us was that they have a multi-tier approach to the COVID protocols. I didn't really know about this before, and I guess on some level it makes sense, but it felt kind of unfortunate on another level that like only certain levels of cast have the same protections, or like the best protections. And even with those best protections, obviously, Lupita Nyong'o still got COVID anyway. But yeah, it's just kind of a shame in every sense, with everything that they've had to go through and the injuries that have been sustained as well. So yeah, it just kind of sucks.
Yeah, Steve.
No good luck on this. Low key feels cursed. It's like, damn, like, are they ever going to catch a break? I'm not sure. They definitely have to push the movie back, I'm thinking. What was it supposed to come out in like June or July or something like that?
I'll have to look it up. I can't remember the exact date.
I'm thinking later than that now. It's going to have to either be September, October. Now, if it was midsummer, it's got to be September, October, because 10, 12 days, even longer than that, possibly, of like, closing it down, especially with someone like Lupita being gone, you have no choice. You know what I'm saying? And then on top of that, it's production that's caught it. It's not like Lupita was the only one that's caught it. So it's like, okay, we can shoot the scenes around her. Production is down too. So it's like you have no choice but to shut the studio down. So there's nothing you can do.
Yeah, and they'd already done that with Letitia Wright when she was unavailable, shot everything they could prior to her coming back too, right? So they really don't have any wiggle room there, unfortunately.
Yeah. Oh, it's supposed to come out November 11th. Oh, so this is coming out 2022.
Yeah, they're gonna have to push it to 2023.
Yeah, it's going 2023.
I would say summer 2023.
I was gonna say that we did say that last week or 2 weeks ago when we did our what we expected for this year. We just said that Black Panther might be the only movie out of the list of ours that might be pushed since it has so many delays. And look at that 2 weeks later, it gets another delay. So it's expected. The current show I'm on has been delayed twice because of COVID stuff, and a crew and cast being caught with COVID. So it's like some shows are being publicly known that has COVID and is being delayed, but some shows are not. Marvel is a big show. Sorry, Marvel's a big company. Black Panther has a lot of eyes of what's going on because of what happened with Chadwick Boseman and everything. So that movie has a lot of eyes what's going on because people are curious to see what's going to be in the future of the movie, and it's just a big Marvel property. So a lot of people are curious to know what's going on, and it makes sense that it's being public, that it's being delayed again. But usually a lot of people don't find out. So for this to be public, it means that a lot of the cast or crew got COVID, and it makes sense. Like, things, we're still in pandemic, things are happening, but it sucks. And if it still gets released this year, I hope the crew in post production gets paid overtime for every single thing to get done correctly before that movie release. Because if Kevin Feige still wants to release it and get it done, because they have pushed a lot of series, a lot of movies switching schedules because of the pandemic. Because people forget that the Multiverse of Madness of Doctor Strange was supposed to be the first one out before Spider-Man No Way Home, but a lot of things had to be changed because of script, pandemic, and everything. So if things change again because of the pandemic, people need to understand that things don't go well. So I
So
hope the best. I hope the best for the production.
with
Yeah.
this delay, I think that means that you're either going to push back a bunch of movies, because if it ties into other movies, you have to
Yep.
push those back as well. Or it's exactly what we said. It's during the 5-year time skip. Because if it's during the 5-year time skip, you can just drop that shit whenever, because it's taking place during something that was the 5-year time skip. Now, if it's something that ties together with the other movies, then there's nothing. They're gonna have to push a lot of stuff back, which is a bummer.
Yeah. Real quick, since we were talking about Tom Cruise, so Mission Impossible 7 got delayed to from September 30th, 2022 to July 14th, 2023. Mission Impossible 8 got pushed back an entire year from July 7th, 2023 to June 28th, 2024. So it's like, yeah, man.
Wow.
Yeah, the coronavirus has been destroying productions, like, and all of this all of these delays cost so much money,
Yep.
millions of dollars wasted because of these delays. But let's move on to last news topic. Just quick thoughts on the Moon Knight trailer. I thought this was such a great trailer. Oscar Isaac, again, another one of my favorite actors of all time. Can't believe that we're actually getting a Moon Knight series in the MCU. Is absolutely insane. For you guys that don't know, Moon Knight, his name is Mark Spector. He has DID, dissociative identity disorder, depending on which, iteration that you read, but that's one of the most, like, more recent ones, more popular storylines. And it's him, he got his powers from an Egyptian deity and shenanigans, because I don't want to give too much away, and who knows how the story is actually going to play out on the Disney Plus show, because, like, we've seen them do before with, like, people like Monica Rambeau. I think they're going to take a lot of different types of origins and different stories surrounding Mark Spector and mashing it all into one for the Moon Knight series. But yeah, man, this trailer blew me away. The visuals were really good. Oscar Isaac was really good. We got to see a couple different personalities in there, a couple different accents. Him, like, holding a gun, beating up a bunch of different people and not knowing what he's doing, the insomnia, not knowing when he's asleep, when he's awake. So there's a lot of great shit that they put out in this trailer that I really liked. And then they tell us that it's coming out in March, which I thought it was going to come out in the later part of 2022. So this was a huge surprise for me. So Brian, real quick, like, what were your thoughts on the Moon Knight trailer and what's your excitement level?
So I didn't really know much what to expect from this. I've never read any Moon Knight and haven't been super familiar with his character, but the casting here, Oscar Isaac, I talked about it in shameless self plug, our best of last year. He was in The Card Counter, Paul Schrader's most recent movie, and he just is doing consistently great work. Obviously, great in Dune as well, but never gives a bad performance, right? Going into this trailer, what was kind of most exciting to me was it seems like it's going to be a true horror show in a way that they really haven't dived into before. Aspects of WandaVision, some of my favorite aspects of WandaVision get kind of almost Lynchian, like freak out, what the hell is going on? This seems to double down on it. So I'm completely here for that sort of show. Freak me out. We got Willem Dafoe as well.
It does.
I do.
Oh.
Or sorry, not Willem Dafoe.
Boy, I was about to say what?
Yeah, me too. I'm like, where?
Why am I blanking on his name? Ethan Hawke. Sorry, not Willem Dafoe. We got Ethan Hawke as well, who's also consistently great. Doesn't have a great haircut here, got to be honest, but got to imagine that's a character decision. But yeah, this trailer was really solid and got me excited for kind of a new angle in the MCU that I don't think we've seen before.
Yeah, when I originally saw Ethan Hawke, I was like, "Is that Kevin Bacon?" Because I thought it was Kevin Bacon from the X-Men movie.
Wow.
And I was like, "What is that? Is that something that I don't know about, that they're tying these characters together?" And then my homeboy was like, "No, that's Ethan Hawke. You're tripping." And I was like, "Oh, my bad." So, but I saw an article that said that Ethan Hawke might be collage of characters, of 2 or 3 different characters. And I was like, that would be interesting to see what they're trying to do with that. They had some names in there that I never read in comics, so I'm gonna have to look them up and find out exactly what's going on. But I saw something that said that he might be a collage of different characters, which would
I
be
wouldn't be surprised because it looks like that's what they're doing with Moon Knight. They look like they're taking a bunch of different like aspects of the character from over the decades and just mashing it up together. But we'll see. Brian, there's a new Moon Knight run that started in 2021. It's only 7 issues in. The 7th issue literally just came out like Wednesday. Pick it up,
Oh,
dude.
wow.
The art's incredible, and you will love it, man. It's so good.
Oh, hell yeah. All right. I've got homework to do after this. This is good.
I
Yeah,
just
so
read
good.
that one, and I read the 2016 one too. The 2016 one is like 14 issues, so it's short too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Steve, what were your thoughts on the trailer?
Like I said, I enjoyed it. I'm enjoying the dynamic of like he's supposed to be the Marvel's version of Batman, the old different personalities, the talk and stuff like that. Because in the runs that I've read or whatever, like he doesn't even know who he is anymore. Like he has so many different personalities, like he doesn't know who his original person is anymore. So I thought that was really, really crazy. And like I'm interested to see how that plays out. I didn't have a problem with his suit, but a lot of people on the internet hate his suit. They're like, it's trash and all. I'm just like, yeah, I just thought it was a suit. I thought it was cool. But a lot of people really, really bashed that suit, and I didn't really, really have a problem with it.
Yeah, I mean, I can be a purist at times. So it's not what I pictured in my mind, but I also have to think that this is just like base 1 suit, and he'll get an upgrade by like the end of the first season, right? But I like it. I thought it looked cool, but yeah, it's not what I envisioned in my mind. But I mean, I think it's fine, and we'll see. I'm sure it'll upgrade as time passes.
Yeah, with him getting his power from the Egyptian deity, it fits. It seems mummy-esque with a hoodie. Like
Right, right.
I don't see the problem. Like I don't see the problem, but maybe that's just me not nitpicking it.
Yeah, because I mean, man, some comic book fans, like, if it's not exactly like how it was on the page, like, it's sacrilege, pretty much. Vash, what
Yeah.
about you? What were your thoughts on the trailer?
But I haven't seen the trailer because I wanted to see it. But while you guys were talking, when James was giving the synopsis of who Moon Knight is and everything, I saw it. It looks dope as hell. It's intriguing because I haven't read too much Moon Knight comics. I read like the ones from the 90s. I read the ones from the early 2000s. Those early runs when is the different art style of comics back then, and I like his character. The Egyptian god art, it looks good here. I love the mysterious of him, losing control, him trying to restrain himself and everything. Him questioning, him working museum, and the suit didn't bother me. I fuck with the suit.
Yeah.
It looks fine to me. It looked better in context when we see it. This is a trailer for a reason. It's supposed to sell you. If it don't sell you, it means it didn't sell you. But guess what? It sold the other 5 million people around the world that will be watching this on Disney Plus. So I feel like it did its job. It did its purpose. And I'm curious to see how violent it will be because I don't know if this comparison will work, but I felt this trailer remind me a bit of Daredevil mixed with Jessica Jones. Because
Good.
Daredevil with the action and storytelling, and Jessica Jones with the psychological aspect and with you being tormented, from your past and everything, etc. So I felt like
Definitely.
just a mixture of both of these shows into one. Would it be good as the Netflix shows and with the greedy and the horror, like Brian said? It will be to tell because this is the first type of show that's full horror and action like it will be because WandaVision and the other shows, stay in their lane, and WandaVision each had an episode of comedy, horror, sitcom, and everything. But this is his first show. I still agree that these type of shows, like, if it does get picked up, Punisher, Daredevil, all these dark shows should have gone to Hulu since our Disney Plus owns it. So I feel like it should have gone to more since it could be more free and not feel restrained, to appeal to the mass type of family, type of demographic.
See,
But
I,
if
I
it
think
works,
I think we moved away from that already. Disney Plus is already moving in the direction to where they're going to have like a section just for like Fox movies, and a lot of those are rated R. They're going to be on Disney Plus, just sectioned off somewhere. So I think it would be a mistake to take those shows and put them on Hulu just to make them darker. Just have different sections, and just you'll have to have warnings in front of each thing, and it's on the parents to stop their kids from watching certain shit. Like, that's not their problem.
Still have Deadpool 1 and 2 in Hulu and not have yet transferred to Fox. I mean, to Disney Plus.
Well, I mean, that's just a licensing thing.
Oh,
because I mean, there's the Wolverine is on HBO Max. You know what I mean? Like, it's just licensing. You know, like some different streaming services still have the licensing to some of those movies, but when those run out, they'll end up on Disney Plus. You know, the Spider-Man movies, that's different because they're technically owned by Sony, so that's never going to happen with them being on Disney Plus. But those other stuff, those other movies, like, it's just licensing, man. There's some Fox movies that are still on like Peacock and all over the place. But yeah, as soon as those licenses run out, like, they'll all end up in like the Fox category in Disney Plus.
But Brian, what did you think of my comparison?
Sorry, which comparison? To Jessica Jones and Daredevil?
Yeah.
So,
because your face showed that intrigue.
Well, so Jessica Jones, I only saw season 1, but that's up there in one of my favorite seasons of Marvel TV shows, actually. I thought season 1 was really strong. I've only seen random clips of Daredevil, and this is another huge blind spot for me. I know.
Wow.
I'm a bad comics fan.
I don't know if I can invite you back on, man.
Yeah, I'm questioning.
I've lost.
Are you really the true Papa Holly? Like, out of the crew? Like, are you really?
Well,
Chris,
okay.
Chris, I need you to come and get Ryan and like hold his eyes open and make him watch.
Like, so many
Clockwork Orange, Daredevil me. Yeah.
Like the Bird Box. You just gotta watch it.
Brian, I believe it's is it episode 2 or episode 3 in Daredevil? It has one of the most amazing 7-minute one-take fights I've ever seen in my life, bro.
I think this is one of the scenes that I've seen, to my credit, but I haven't seen it in context.
It's insane.
I know. I need to check these out. I think the second or third season, I can't remember. I heard kind of iffy things about where the show went that made me a little skeptical of starting it, but I'll have to check it out. My list of things to watch is going to be endless by the end of this podcast, but it's a good thing. I need to catch
Vincent
up. Vash,
D'Onofrio as Kingpin.
He's so good.
Oh my god.
And like, I don't know who told you about season 3, but Vincent and Charlie Cox does an amazing job in season 3. Like, literally, they do
their fight. Oh my god.
They do the adaptation of the comic run of what's the name of it? God damn it, James. Do you remember?
I can't think of it right now.
Oh damn, I'm drawing blank.
I haven't read Daredevil comics like that.
So, you haven't? Oh, I've recommended Steve. You would love some. Daredevil comics, but Brian, watch it. It's good. See the 1 and 2 and 3. You have you seen Punisher, Luke Cage? If you've seen Ifris out of all of them more, I'll be questioning that more.
No, I haven't. I haven't seen those either.
Okay.
I've since the modern MCU, the recent batch of MCU, I've been watching everything, but there was a period of time where I definitely was not catching it all, as is clear here. But I think your comparison, if from what I heard about Daredevil and what I saw in Jessica Jones, if they combine those, I think this is going to be top tier MCU shows. If they can actually nail that.
Yeah, if we had to include the Netflix shows in with the Disney Plus shows, it's still Daredevil, man. Daredevil's still the GOAT.
Wow.
Yeah. Daredevil is still up there. Like Daredevil, Punisher, and Jessica Jones, top 5.
Jessica Jones' first season was so fucking good. The Purple Man, he was so
like Sherman was saying in chat right now. Yeah, David Tennant. Yeah. David Tennant is my favorite Doctor on Doctor Who. To see him play this despicable piece of fucking garbage in Purple Man, it hurt me to watch it. I'm like, dude, I love you, but I despise you so much. Like, this dude, you rapist piece of garbage. Mm-hmm. Oh my god.
When he told that dude, he's like, go fuck yourself. He said, now how do I know that he didn't just go do that? And he's like, that line, that delivery of that line was so funny to me. He was like, how do I know you're not gonna go do that?
Yeah. But something going back to what Breezy said. So yes, I am a comic book purist at times. I'm not one of those people that's like, "Oh, I don't like Civil War because it's not like Civil War in the comics. I didn't like Age of Ultron because it's not Age of Ultron in the comics." I'm not one of these robots. I'm fine with adaptations. They still have to be good though. Like, you know what I mean? So it's like I'm a purist at times. There's certain things with like costumes and different things where I'm like, this doesn't hurt you to just be accurate, right? If you're making an adaptation, you just don't have all the characters to make that story. Just like the new Flash movie, it's going to be loosely based on like Flashpoint. I don't expect it to be like Flashpoint, right? From the comics, right? Because they don't have all the characters, they don't have the time to do it either. So it's like, as long as they make a good adaptation, I'm fine, you know?
Yeah, and I'm curious to see what is the new wave of these Marvel TV shows and Marvel movies is gonna be, because a lot of people, like for example, a lot of people like us in the panel have not read a lot of Moon Knight comics, but now after the show and the other much bigger audience, now after Moon Knight, are they gonna go out and read more Moon Knight comics because of the interest?
Oh,
And for example, other things
Definitely.
for Mrs. Marvel, like for these other characters that Marvel is introducing, are they gonna check out? Like, it just depends on how the marketing is and how well. Like, hopefully Marvel is ready for the prints and their downloads to skyrocket just by their broad audience of the interest of their new content. And I hope this is a new wave of this.
Yeah, man. Like Kevin Feige hasn't missed yet, and they're only getting better and better. Like I'm so excited for She-Hulk, Secret Invasion. Like there's so much great shit happening, and people are gonna love Moon Knight. I think once people see Moon Knight, they're gonna rush out to comic book stores, and they're gonna lose their fucking minds. Like they're absolutely gonna love this shit. So that's gonna be all of the news that we're gonna be talking about here. Let's move on to our Peacemaker episode 4 full spoilers discussion. Now, I absolutely love this episode. Like I said in the beginning, this is my favorite episode of the 4 so far. This is the best acting John Cena has done on the show so far. All of the emotional beats, everything just hit on all cylinders in this episode. I love the title. It's so fucking silly. The Chode Less Traveled. I thought that was hilarious. But there's so much to this episode. We get a lot deeper into what made Peacemaker tick, right? Like his deeper relationship with his father, like understanding that his dad is the racist, the white supremacist, but yet he still only sees his dad. He's still looking for that approval from his father, even though his father has made him do unspeakable things. The way he talks to him too, you know what I mean? Telling him that he was a waste of space. I saw you come out of your mom's cooch. I should have slit
And
your
just
throat.
your
Like,
throat? I'm like, damn.
I'm just like, dude, and he's still constantly seeking that approval from his dad. And there's so much of that stuff throughout this entire episode. And like Abe mentioned in the previous episode of Villains that we did, the parallels between Chris and Adebayo, right? They are completely different people and versions of their parents. And watching Adebayo kind of slowly get used to this life but not used to it at the exact same time, and listening to how everyone else talks about her mother and the way she doesn't see that. And there's a lot of great shit. It's crazy to think that James Gunn literally just wrote this in like 8 weeks when he was just bored. He was just quarantined and he just wrote this treatment for the show. So it's been incredible so far. I think the butterflies have been so intriguing and so interesting. So before we dive into the episode itself, Brian, since you weren't here to talk with us on the panel the last time, what has been your overall thoughts on Peacemaker in general?
Honestly, I am completely sold on this show.
Yes.
The first 3 episodes I watched in one sitting, just flew through them. And I am just, I'm totally here for this adult oriented comic book stuff, because I feel like it not only can do the violence stuff, which James Gunn, you know, he likes to go above and beyond. And I'm not someone who enjoys super gory stuff. So I do get a little bit cringy. But I think what really works is not only the comedy, but the emotional range that you can get and the topics that you can dive into become much more serious. And especially for a character like Peacemaker, who, when we see him in the Suicide Squad, he's a hilarious piece of shit. And we just think he's a terrible person. and on some level he definitely is, right? And he supports a system unquestioningly, or so we think. And seeing him really come to terms with the trauma of his past and the actions, constantly flashing back to the character that he killed. And I don't know why I'm avoiding spoilers for the Suicide Squad, but someone who we were surprised. I think everyone was surprised at that character's loss in the Suicide Squad, and the fact that he's really having to grapple with it. I think it's really working. And on top of this, you guys talked about it last week, but the gag of him having to jump down from balcony to balcony and just slamming into his shoulder each time is just the exact sort of stupid slapstick that I'm looking for sometimes. So the combination of serious topics dealing with, I'm so glad you brought up the connection between Adebayo and Chris, because it's really about this trauma that's caused by parents or relationships in general, where you still love this person on some level, even though you acknowledge the atrocious things that they've done and the terrible person that they are. These familial bonds are so strong, and seeing how the world views them, like you said, Adebayo, like getting this whole different view of who her mother is and her perspectives on life, looking from the outside in for the people that work with her, is this whole shock. So I think it's not like I can say I can relate to either of these characters in super significant ways, but they're touching on things that are so universal, if not really dramatized in significant ways. But this is shaping up to be one of my favorite comic book shows that I've ever seen.
Facts, man. I can't argue. Like, after we did the show, I saw the 3 episodes again, and I'm like, dude, this shit is so good. It's so well written. Like, John Cena's comedic timing is insane, and then he really shows out in those dramatic performances, man. And we're gonna talk about a lot of that in this episode. So let's just go ahead and dive right in, right? So at the beginning of the episode, we're in the van, we're driving back to the base, and Harcourt is asking Chris what he did with the butterfly. He says that he blew it. He shot the butterfly. Never believed him. If you don't see it happen, nothing happened, right? So I never believed him to begin with. And Vigilante goes on this rant about not being able to walk right ever again because he lost his pinky toe. Dude, this actor, his timing is incredible, and I need him in like a Kevin Smith movie because I feel like he would just fit so well in a Kevin Smith movie. So Brian, I want to start with you. Like, what were your thoughts on that van sequence, and specifically like Vigilante, just like that whole rant about his pinky toe?
I thought it was a perfect way to drop us back into the stuff that had happened in the last episode. The torture scene was incredibly hilarious, and the fact that it's like, of course he's still going on about it. He's not going to let this go down. And I think it really pays off throughout the course of the episode, because he's not only continuing to complain about this, but I think we really start to see what sort of character he is and what he's looking for in the people around him, that he's probably not getting in enough quality. I think it really worked for me and dropped me right back in to where we picked off. We got the knowing that the butterfly might be out there, and the bringing us back to the torture scene. I was like, all right, let's do it. And where this episode goes, I think it really kind of veers in a real way after this. So it was a nice little kickoff, though. I thought it was a fun way to start.
Yeah, man. I've been loving this series so much. And like, do you have a favorite character so far? I know it's still early.
That's tough. That's definitely tough. I don't know. But to your point about, like, I could see him being a side character in Clerks 3. I would not be upset at all about that, because his timing is great. And I found myself in terms of, I got emotional during this episode, and his character is kind of the one that tipped me over the edge there, and we'll talk about it when we get there. But I think his acting chops are really solid there as well.
Yeah. Steve, what about you? What are your thoughts on the opening sequence in the van?
So the opening sequence, so when he was saying like, oh yeah, I just killed the butterfly and everything like that, and it was so awkward that it was unbelievable. It was like, no, he didn't do it, because the way he would have bragged about it, I thought it was the opening sequence also was hilarious. They were like they were like talking about like you're not gonna not be able to walk if you know what I'm saying, lose your pinky. You'd have to lose like the knuckle. And then he's like, man, if I can't walk, they're gonna make fun of me. And he's like, they're gonna make fun of you because you don't have a pinky and you can't walk. And then John Cena busts out laughing. He's like, I'm just thinking about it. And it was like, because it's true. Like, yes, some people that know your situation aren't gonna make fun of you, but random people not gonna give a shit. They're gonna laugh. And it was so funny that John Cena's like, dude, you could have prevented this. And you're the one that's laughing. So yeah, of course people will laugh. I thought that was like really funny. Just that little dark side that real quick of that, like people are gonna laugh regardless of whatever your situation is. I like that, and I like the little lightheartedness of that, the way that they started the episode. And then of course, right, judo he
Judo
flips
Master.
over. Judo Master flips over a little bit, and they immediately like, "Fuck that!" They're like, "You gotta go." So I enjoyed that. The opening sequence was funny.
Yeah, man. And Nova, so I was looking at this guy. I'm like, why does he look so familiar to me? I've seen this guy somewhere. And then I look up his IMDb. I'm like, this dude was in 3 fucking Harry Potter movies. How did I not like instantly pick this up? So thank you so much for putting that in chat, because I was going to mention that after everyone went. But I was like, I know I've seen this guy before. And then I see him in the Harry Potter movies. I'm like, yeah, I would have never guessed, because he looks a little different, obviously, because he's a lot older. But I was like, I couldn't put my finger on it. I'm like, I have seen this guy before.
You're talking about Freddie Stroma, Vigilante?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah, man. So I thought that was really, really cool. And Mark, I also really love Chris's like bond with animals. I think it's really, really interesting. Like, this outcast has these like animals as like best friends, essentially. Like, there's a lot that goes into this character, and we're going to talk about it throughout the entire episode. But Vash, what about you? What are your thoughts on the opening sequence in the van?
Still, until this day, do not skip the opening, and I still
You
have not
can't
noticed.
skip the opening, bro.
Yeah.
I've not noticed a difference. I have not noticed a difference of what.
How have you
Of
not
what,
noticed the differences?
I've been trying to look. I planning to rewatch opening 1, 2, 3, and 4, which I keep calling opening because I feel like it's an anime. But I still need to watch them and see the difference, because I'm trying to see if they change the character, if they change the closing, or if they change the dance. But I'm trying to see what am I missing. But I'm not noticing. Like
It's only like small changes. They're really, really small changes. I think in like episode 3, like Peacemaker like slides into frame, and then there's something else that happens like right before Judo Master jumps on his arm. And then in like this episode, there's like a completely different thing that Mern and Vigilante do in the background towards the ending of the intro. Like, it's really cool watching like the small like minor changes in the intros.
I'll probably have to see that. But overall, Vigilante talking about losing a pinky, I felt that, because I'm one of those people that has been all goddamn life that have hit the pinky to the couch, to the table, every single corner of your household. And in me, I've asked myself, is the pinky fucking useless? Like, it's just there to cause me pain and damage. There are times where I've asked myself, I've gone to a doctor in the hospital, like, yo, cut this toe off. I don't need it. It's useless. Like, just cut off. Like, I just thought about that. Not to sound psychopath, but I just felt like this pinky sounds useless as hell. So I felt like it's not really needed. But I understood Vigilante, even though he thought that when you cut off the pinky, the toe, you can't walk. No, my guy, it's when you cut off the whole muscle and the bone in your foot that's connected to pinky. Then from there, you can walk. All the guy that's tried to torture you, all he did was just cut half the toe. So you can just technically cut the rest, or you just let it heal. I don't know how your bone is going to heal, but good luck on that. But the comedy, I agree with James. The comedy was so well. It's timed well. It's not there too long or too short. With the tension, I felt like it's just very well balanced. And I just laugh at how the whole team thought that Vigilante was his best friend. And then our girl, Adebayo, corrected, like, no. His best friend's actually the
it was
John.
Eagle. Yeah, it was John.
I just want to correct you guys. I just want to correct you guys. It was actually the Eagle. So overall, I just love how each episode, storytelling wise and each episode, because is this show is written by James Gunn. We keep getting connected and emotionally invested to the characters and find out more about them, like we will talk about within the rest of the episode of the podcast.
Yeah, I mean they're all pretty complex except for
Right.
John. You know, John's kind of just there for like comedic effects.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, there's still a couple more episodes to go, so we'll see. You know, the more stuff that we'll get from him. But Harcourt, like she goes through it. Like she has to drink after every work day because that's the way that she copes with what she does,
Yeah.
right? So I love all of, and we're gonna go into it. I love all the conversations between her and Adebayo around morality and killing and everything like that. So this episode has so much great shit. So we get back to the base. Mern wants Harcourt and Adebayo to look through Goff's stuff, see if they can find any clues to the butterflies. John is looking after Judo Master, and then Mern and Chris have this conversation because Mern wants to know, like, yo, what the fuck? Like, you choked up in the middle of a mission, right? And Chris tries to completely blow it off. It's like, oh yeah, I mean, how do you expect me to kill people if you don't put my fucking dove on my gun? Part of liberty and me being able to kill people is putting a dove on this gun. But really, what it is, and he gets to it later on, is just like, yo, I know I've said that I will do anything for liberty. I don't care how many men, women, and children I have to kill to get it. But I'm also not just going to kill kids just because you say so. And I really, really love that, you know, because it shows something in him. It's like, yes, I want to do everything I can for my country. I'm also just not going to be a blind gun and just murder children, you know?
I just love how each vigilante was seen in comics that we know they're somewhat bad or evil, but I love how they have a code of honor. Like we've seen in Deadshot, we have seen in characters like these, they have a code of honor. As much as he has said that he has killed man, woman, and children and everything, but he still has a code of honor. Like you're telling him to kill these children, but the butterfly, but what is so bad about that? Like if they're gonna invade the earth, if they're gonna destroy the planet, if they're gonna kill us all right, cool, boom, 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 that's it, they're dead. But if you just tell me to kill them, I need a reason. So I love how he has a code of honor. He just won't kill just to kill. So I love that. Just because he was trained to be a killer, don't mean that he'll just kill just to kill. So I love that he'll like once he said that, I gained a newfound respect for his character. I'm like, oh, okay. So you're not just a trained killer. You also have some type of ethic of your work life.
Yeah,
so I love that very much.
Yeah, man. And like one of my favorite moments of that sequence, and then I'll toss it to you guys, is just Chris is talking to Mern about this one job he did with Matter Eater Lad. Dude, I haven't heard about that character. I haven't seen him or read anything with that character in at least over 15 years. And I'm like, where does James Gunn just pull these characters like completely out of his ass? Matter Eater Lad comes from the planet Bismol. For fuck's sake, right? Like it's a gag on like Pepto Bismol. The planet is literally pink. Like it's absolutely fucking hilarious that James Gunn will just pull this character out of nowhere, just like Batmite in like episode 3. This the most obscure fucking characters ever. He also brings like Mad Hatter officially into the DCEU in Peacemaker. So love all of this shit. So Brian, I'm gonna kick it to you. Like, what was some of like your favorite moments from like Mern and Chris talking, and the beginnings of that conversation between Adebayo and Harcourt?
Yeah, I want to shout out Vash. I was surprised that you didn't like the directing as much on this one because Jody Hill, after this cool kind of like post heist, van scene that we get, we're back at the hideout and we get probably like a minute to 90-second one take that it felt almost like I just rewatched Goodfellas recently, and it felt like the way Scorsese will just walk you around a room and make you feel like you're in this room with them. And we get Mern coming in from outside, and the shot continues until the conversation began. And I was like, wow, this is incredible cinematography here. So it just started off super stylish, and then getting into the conversation where, as you said, we you said, Vash, we see that he does have a moral code, which I think is really important to show here, to make us sympathize with this character who's done so much atrocious stuff in his past. The way that he is immediately like trying to get to the bottom of what the butterflies are, makes total sense. And the fact that he doesn't immediately explain it, questionable. But we'll get to that later. The Matter Eater man, or the Matter Eater lad, I had never heard of this guy, but him casually talking about, was it a Burger King that he just
A
demolished, or an Arby's?
Wendy's.
It was a Wendy's.
Yeah,
Okay.
he was like, yeah, they took too long to make his fries, so he ate the restaurant. Like,
The
what?
restaurant.
What?
And just moves past it. Like, he doesn't even, it just flies past him. Yeah, I thought it worked on every level, comedically and building up the character.
Yeah, Steve, what did you think about that sequence with Mern and Chris?
So I enjoyed the whole sequence just because of the fact that Chris was just basically trying to deflect as much as he can, hoping that it could just blow over. And he was like, okay, you're not going to let this blow over. So now I have to say, like, I'm not going to kill kids just because. And I love the fact that this scene happens because overall, what we see from Peacemaker, from the Suicide Squad, like Brian said, he was just a piece of shit, but it was like he was a fun piece of shit in the Suicide Squad. But now you're like pulling back some of the layers and you're like, okay, so he actually isn't just killing kids, because he said he killed women, children, and all this stuff. And even like in the Suicide Squad, other than Rick Flag or whatever, and then Bloodshot, when he walked through that, that camp, he just kill, and it was just like effortlessly, right? But now he's having trouble killing regular people. So I'm liking this, like seeing the humanized side of him, and not he's just not some super soldier that's just evil and is just killing people and stuff like that. So I'm loving the fact that we're getting that side of like, I'm not just gonna kill kids just because, like, I need a reason. And then
I gotta shout out Steve. There's a line where the previous episodes he was talking about how the kids looked and if they fit with the family. And this one is like, yeah, one of them was homely, but that made it worse.
That made it worse. Now I can't kill this homely looking kid.
It's so good.
And it's just, he's like, and it's like he's running from his feelings. Like he's like, okay, I'm opening up, but before I open up too much, let me tell another joke. And
yeah, I mean, his dad would never let him open up.
Yeah,
so he doesn't know how to deal with that.
Yeah, I love the fact that they're staying true to it, and I'm wondering when they're gonna like just let him do it. But I doubt that he does it. I feel like all of his serious moments will be like how this episode ended, where he's alone, and then you get the seriousness of him. But he's never going to show anybody else his serious side.
Yeah, Vash, what about you?
To what Steve said, like when he in the movie when he shot those people in the camp and everything, with not Deadshot,
Bloodsport. My bad.
When he did that, he felt bad once they found out that these were the rebels. He felt bad, like, oh, because he thought if these were regular people of the army of that country, he didn't care because he was ordered to kill them. That was the point. But once he found out that these were the rebels fighting against the army of the country, that's when he felt like, oh, he didn't know how to express the emotion at the time because he was still, like James said, his father didn't let him express emotion or know how to express himself and know not to joke about it. So in this, it makes sense why he has a code of honor and a code of who he is and why he will not kill any woman without being told why do they need to die. Because he's like, all right, cool, I'm a trained killer, but why are you telling me to do this? And I love, and I agree with Brian saying like the shot was good, but what I didn't like about the direction is it was the fight choreography that we will talk about later when it was the kung fu or technically what they call it, the
Judo Master.
No, they made a joke about it in the show. Damn,
Cobra Kai.
Oh, Cobra Kai.
Yes, Cobra Kai.
And that's canon now.
Yeah, it's canon now. Like, so it was Cobra Kai, and it was just pure comedy about it. So, but I was not a big fan about the direction, about that scene. But we'll talk about that later. But overall, with the sequence, I enjoy of how Merm took charge and know that like each of these characters have fucked up in their own way already, with only the missions been started like 2 days ago. So he's so fed up. He's like, yo, yeah, like I just got this team and y'all fucking up. Like, can you guys give me a break? So it's like, and what happened at the end of the episode just makes more questions with Merm. So overall, with just starting the episode, it's very well, with the tension and the build up. So I'm loving it.
Yeah, man. And these next two sequences where Harcourt is talking to where Adebayo is talking to Harcourt, and then she goes to talk to John. I like these two exchanges, right? Because she's the newbie, right? She's the odd one out. She hasn't been doing Black Ops for this long. Where Harcourt sees it as you you not pulling that trigger simply made that man have a more agonizing death, right? And that's something that Harcourt has to deal with mentally every day. It's like, I know I have to kill people, but the least I could do is make it really quick so that they're not suffering. Because he's instantly talking about his wife, his kids, and he's thinking, he's having all of these flashes of everything that he's about to lose. And Harcourt sees it as, no, just end it before he can even get there, end his misery. And she calls Adebayo a coward, just for not doing it. Like, you allowed this man to suffer because you were too much of a coward to pull the trigger, and you have to make the right choices. And then she's talking to John, and John's tying up Judo Master, and she's like, we should just take him to the hospital. And he's like, but what if he talks, right? Like, this is Black Ops shit. Like, this is what we do. And she's just wrestling with this. And even later on in this episode, and in the last 3 episodes, she's realizing the things that her mother is really capable of doing. And we're going to talk about Harcourt and Adebayo's conversation a little bit later on after she shoots Judo Master, because that was one of my favorite conversations about that. But Brian, I want to start with you. And what did you think about these two conversations, and like Adebayo just like struggling with trying to be a human being while trying to do this job?
Yeah, I was taking notes during the show, and I just wrote, poor Adebayo going through it. She is really going through the ringer here. And this is one of those things where it's forcing you to reckon with the fact that this is a Black Ops thing, and it feels very grounded in a way that is really tragic for all the characters involved. And obviously they all deal with it in their own ways. But the fact that not only is this basically the only family you can have, as we know, Adebayo, her girlfriend or wife,
Wife, yeah.
Yeah, her wife is basically out of the picture at this point, for good reason, considering what's happening. But you start to realize that not only is your life in these people's hands to some degree, but you also can't trust anyone, even them. And she's realizing like how much of a kind of shit show this all is. But yeah, I think similarly, it's giving her this real perspective on, so her mother is perceived as this thing, but her mother must have had all these realizations at some point in her career as well to get to where she is. So I just am really feeling for Adebayo in these episodes. And yeah, it's been rough, but I appreciate the arc, because I think she's very much the audience surrogate character, like the one who's kind of being exposed to this world in a real way for the first time.
Right. Yeah. Steve, what about you?
So for Adebayo, that whole conversation hit really deep, because I never thought of it on that level. I just thought, like, I don't want to kill him. You know what I'm saying? And she was like, I don't want to do it. And that's just pretty much what it was. That's all she was thinking about, because she's never killed anybody. And then Harcourt basically just tells him, like, you made that man suffer because we had to kill him anyway. And you didn't understand that we had to kill him, but we had to do it anyway. So now he's thinking about, like how James said, you're thinking about your wife, your kids, the life that's going to happen pretty much after I die, things like that. And you made that man suffer. And you never think about it that way because you've never taken a life. You know what I'm saying? So just that whole like thing, and I think that played a part in later on, you know what I'm saying, as the episode went on, because you were Judo Master, you know what I'm saying? I feel like, you know what I'm saying, she would have normally waited. We might have gotten the actual conversation, but she took that into consideration. Like, no, fuck this. Let's just take care of it. And she took care of it. So I'm really interested in seeing that. And then, like, we've always been talking about the fact that she's the daughter of Amanda Waller, and she's been hearing in the episodes. I'm not gonna just rant. Like, even dang, I can't remember his name right now, but even he said, he was like, "We're not just gonna kill random people. I'm not Amanda Waller."
Mern.
And then yeah, and then she just thinks to herself, like, "Damn, my mom does stuff like this regularly." Like, you know what I'm saying? So I think that was really, really like a crucial conversation, which pretty much probably went overlooked because it was a small conversation. I think it probably lasted 3 minutes into the episode, 3 minutes of the episode, if that. I don't even think it was that long. And it was just like boom, and it just got skated over. But I think that was a really important conversation that was had, and it's going to play a big part in her character.
Definitely, because I immediately thought of the scene in Suicide Squad, the first one, where it's at the end of the movie, mission's over, is like, all right, well, you people know too much, and then she literally kills her entire team, right?
Yeah.
And then this new team replaces those people. So they're all expendable. They're nothing but chess pieces on a board to be moved by Amanda Waller. Like, we've seen how fucked up she is in the Suicide Squad. I mean, yes, they're technically all criminals, but she literally sends one team just to be a distraction so that the main team and die, bro, and just so the main team can get on the island and be fine. Like, I don't know, that really threw me. But that's Amanda Waller. Like, someone has to be the monster that makes these really, really hard decisions. Like, for those of you that know, like, how Terry McGinnis was born, you know what I mean? Like, she literally had the Phantasm kill his parents and then just to give him trauma, you know what I mean? So he can become the new Batman. It's so, she's so fucked up.
It's so crazy because, like, what's even more fucked up about her sending another team as a distraction, the distraction has been made. The character that's trying to run away because he's like, we're gonna die, and she tells him, if you don't go back, I'm gonna blow your head up. You had no reason to blow this man. You knew the distraction is made. Now, why did you just? That just shows how fucked up she is. She's just like, you know what? I'm also gonna blow this.
Can't let him go free.
She cold.
She could have let him go back to prison and been like, you fucked up, and yelled at him, scalded him, and that could have been it. But she was like, you know what? Also, I'm gonna do this because it feels good. And then the other team goes in. So that's something that I'm like, yeah, she's definitely just fucked up in general.
Yeah. Vash, let me get your thoughts on this, and then I also have another question. Like, do you think she's using her daughter as a pawn?
Absolutely.
Oh, hell yeah. She's definitely using her daughter as a pawn.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, for sure. But, or maybe she's teaching her a lesson, because maybe Amanda sees, I don't know how James Gunn or the DC or Warner Bros., because who knows what the hell they're planning to do with this character, and since they're going to reboot it, who knows if they're going to keep Amanda Waller cast as Amanda Waller. But my guess is that maybe she sees a death in herself in the future. So maybe she sees that her daughter could be the next runner-up. And maybe, like in Arrow, Amanda Waller knew that she wasn't doing all good things, but she had to be the monster to defeat other monsters. So, but she knew that the next person in lineup to replace her was John Diggle's wife. But she knew that for that person to be, they had to at least have a better heart. So maybe Amanda Waller in the DCEU in Peacemaker, maybe she sees her daughter be the next Amanda Waller. Maybe not ask code to just kill somebody that knowing that they're gonna die in the water, like Steve said. But maybe like, all right, cool. So if you survive, you live. But
Vash,
if you
that's
don't,
very optimistic. Because
hey, James, you know me. James, you know me for you. You should know I'm mostly all the time the most optimistic one of all of us.
Because Amanda Waller knows that if anyone takes over her job, it has to be someone like her. In order to do the job that they do, you can't have a soul. You have to surrender it. Having a soul you're not going to be able to get the job done. You won't. Because as fucked up as it is, Team A would not be able to get onto Corto Maltese if the other team, if Team B didn't get annihilated. It is what it is. It's really fucked up. But if they didn't do it, it's like, well, I can sacrifice 7 lives or the planet, right? Because if Starro gets free, we're fucked. Like, he's going to mind control the entire planet. So it kind of is what it is. You need someone to make those hard decisions, not someone that's going to questions like, well, they have a family at home. I have a family. I don't know if I can do it. I don't know. But we'll see.
Like, that's my optimistic overall. But I agree. The conversation with Harcourt and Adebayo is true. Like, I'm not a trained assassin, so I don't know how Harcourt deals with it all the time. That's her drinking. That's her habit to cope with it. Adebayo is new to this. Like she said, she has never killed somebody, and it's fine to freeze. But like,
I never freeze.
but like Jim Gordon, he has also freeze before he has shot before he became a captain. So in the comics, we've seen that. In the Batman Year One, we have seen that as well. It's normal to freeze when you're in that type of situation, but sooner or later you have to beat that because it's your life or that person. And also in your type of job, it's the world that survives or you get fucked and you just let the world get destroyed. So it's those type of situations that I understand why Harcourt is the way she is, because she has probably been in that situation many times and she probably has felt that. But being so cold and drinking has made you so cold that you cannot relate and understand other human emotions because you have let that go. Like Jim said, like
it's too hard to.
You have turned cold. You have turned the next Amanda Waller. Probably Harcourt is the next runner up. Who knows? But it's just very
because I mean, she still feels like that's why she drinks, because that's the only way she can cope with the things that she does. But Amanda Waller, she'll just go to sleep. She'll murder a couple kids and just sleep fine. She'll just like put on some headphones, listen to some like whale sounds, and she'll just go to sleep. Like,
and so like when you say you think Amanda Waller, do I think Amanda Waller is using her daughter? I see it more so using her daughter in like an Omni-Man-ish way. I'm gonna try my best to train you and give you, like, make you see my way and hope that you see it this way. And if not, then I'm going to kill you. But
that's
I think
interesting.
for the most part,
I think killing her own daughter.
Yikes.
I can see her in a form of like maybe not even kill her. I'm going to have you set up to die or something like that. But I think her overall thing is see it my way, see how we do this thing, and then hopefully you see the light and you can come this way. I think it's more so of that, not just like, oh, you're a pawn and I plan on killing you. I don't think she's doing it in that sense. It's more so I'm trying to make you see the light and what you need to do. And then hopefully I won't have to kill you. That type of situation.
In the previous 3 episodes, I don't know if it was the first or second, don't we get a conversation between her and her mother about kind of how like you're the only one in the group that, you know, you're my pipeline to what's actually going on kind of thing. I can't remember how it actually plays out. So there's clearly some motivation for her being there. Maybe she's maybe Amanda Waller's skeptical of some of the people in this group, justifiably or not.
Yes.
But
I was just about to ask you guys, do you think Amanda knows about Merm, or do you think she has an idea that one of them is a butterfly?
I think she has an idea that one or multiple ones of them are butterflies, and she doesn't know which one, and she's using Adebayo as her eyes and ears, for sure.
Okay.
Because I think it's more than one of them. As a matter of fact, it could be all of them. But I'll talk about that more when we get closer to the end.
That would be so good.
There were a lot of red dots.
It'd be fucking crazy.
Wow.
But the next scene, we get Chris and Adrian in the car, and Adrian is being hyper passive aggressive about letting him get tortured. He's like, you know what? I'm grateful that you let me be tortured because this made me a better person. I've never had a friend quite like you.
At that moment, I'll be like, boy, shut the fuck up. You know damn well you're in agony, pain, and you hate me right now. Why are you lying to yourself and lying to me? I would have slapped him while he was driving and caused us to be in a car accident. I would have stare at him and be like, nah, boy.
And it was his right pinky, so that's your driving foot. Like,
Yeah.
Oh
That's
shit!
true.
that shit.
Oh,
he
you're
felt
right.
that shit, and he
You're right,
meant it
Pinky.
every
Oh,
time.
your driver's foot. Oh, damn. I hope he doesn't put a lot of pressure on on the right side. Ouch.
Yeah, he
Damn, that does
meant
sound
that.
painful now. Ooh.
I think what was interesting to me here too, and getting into Vigilante's character, it is definitely passive aggressive, but it almost felt kind of almost like Stockholm syndrome-y. Like he's had to justify. He's clearly got relationship trouble with his parents. This is a person that he loves on some level. He considers to be his best friend and doesn't want him to casually allow him to be tortured for no reason, obviously.
Right.
And he's kind of like trying to justify it in real time, but you see the anger just kind of bubbling up inside of him. So yeah, it's, and where it ends as well, just hilarious. Him commenting on the upside down flag and everything. It's like, maybe your dad is just a racist whack job. It's like, oh well, yeah, probably.
Yeah. So let's get into that, right? So I absolutely love this sequence. I can't remember who said it on the last show. I think it was Abe. I can't remember, but someone called it that the storage area was in another dimension, right?
Yep.
And it just shows the kind of, oh, that was you, Vash. There just shows like the genius that is this racist piece of shit in August. It's just like, he's a piece of shit, but the man is a genius. He was able to form a storage area in his house that leads to another dimension that holds all of these incredible inventions and his despicable white dragon costume. So let's get into it, right? Right before we get into the storage area, Chris picks the lock, and on the news, they're talking about Evergreen Zoo and Charlie the silverback gorilla. Fucking Grodd reference, bro. Grodd reference.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Okay,
this,
you're gonna
this
have to
is
break
so
this down
dope.
for me. I do not know this character. I figured there was a reference happening here. I was like, okay,
Yeah, it was.
I don't know what this is, but okay.
So Grodd's a hyper intelligent telepathic gorilla.
Okay, wow.
Have you seen The Flash?
Vash, don't ask me these questions.
I mean, you're not missing much, honestly.
You're not, but okay. Have you seen promos of the CW of a king shark dude versus a giant gorilla?
I don't think I have, actually. I apologize.
Oh no, it's fine.
You're fine.
But it's totally fine. But it's just a high tech, smart gorilla, and that could trick people and having do his own bidding with high tech.
Yeah, he has telekinetic powers. He can, control other people's minds, make them do stuff. He can communicate with you telepathically. Grodd's a really, really cool, complex character. So for James Gunn to give us this really cool introduction into Grodd, the fact that he's missing, and he's just out there, it's like, could Grodd be infected by a butterfly? Is this how Grodd becomes sentient in the DCEU, being controlled by a butterfly? I'm reaching. Like, I have nothing to base that on.
The Gorilla City, or an ideal Gorilla City, I will blow. Oh my god, this.
I think we will at some point.
Because in Peacemaker? No, I don't think.
Not in Peacemaker, but at some point in the DCEU, because James Gunn's not done. He's working on other projects for DC.
And
so
yes,
that's
Brian,
going to be interesting.
What I said is true. Gorilla City. There is an actual Gorilla City of high intelligent gorillas in Africa. I forgot where exactly.
It's Wakanda for gorillas.
Yeah.
That's the easiest way to explain it. An advanced civilization in Africa with gorillas.
Yeah, like
their city is also cloaked in an invisible dome, just like Wakanda.
Oh wow, okay.
So just think of Wakanda and its safe. Yeah,
flying scooters, everything.
Yeah, so just think of that. So then we get into the armory, and it is just so cool. We see all of the different helmets. This time we get to see the one that says "Bound for Good." Not really sure what that one means. We have the X-ray vision one.
Which is
There's
smart.
also the
It's because you can actually see who's inflicted as a butterfly. So hopefully we get to see if we could use that.
I didn't even think about that, dude.
Like he actually thought about that. He actually thought about that. He's like, I'm gonna choose this one. I'm like, thank you, Chris. You thought with your brain. So I hope in the next episode that'll be the one of the first one that he will use to actually see who's the butterfly. But he better not tell the team, because if he tells the team, he'll tell yo, you cannot do it to us. because you're doing our personal boundaries. So something they'll probably say something sexually for him to be like, okay, you guys are right. So then he'll be like, okay, I can't do that because you guys are my friends or my teammates. So then he will not do it to Merm and the other people. So that's my theory there.
Yeah, so he grabs all of the helmets, which all the designs for the helmets are really cool. And then after that, we get the first look at the White Dragon costume, which is so comic book accurate, and it makes me so angry to see it on screen. Because the White Dragon, are you familiar with the White Dragon at all, Brian? I know you were watching the show last time when we talked about it.
Yeah, not super familiar.
Yeah,
but yeah,
I mean,
I did hear you guys talk about it.
Yeah, he is the white supremacist. Like, this guy is the worst of the worst. Like, this guy, David Duke would suck this guy's dick. That's how terrible he is. And he leads this group of neo-Nazis, and him as a vigilante, he only kills people of color that are criminals, right? So it's just like he's this very, very fucked up character. And when Adrian comes into it, he mentions that there are gaps in the armor, right? Yes. So I think somewhere along the line, Peacemaker may kill his dad in the White Dragon costume, or someone else might wear the White Dragon costume, and he uses those like weak points to kill that person. But I think it would be like fucked up and poetic if he kills his dad, because that would be him finally separating from that toxicity and actually getting rid of an evil villain. Because his father is the worst. He is not a good person on any level whatsoever, and we'll talk about that a lot more with that conversation between Adebayo and Chris. But it's just like it kills me to watch him struggle with his feelings about his dad. And then we get this really cool conversation between Chris and the neighbor where they're arguing about Batman, like Batman's morality and not killing villains.
Batman is a real hero. he's like his gallery, whatever is better than yours. He said, "You know what's wrong with my fucking gallery? They're 6 feet fucking under."
Riddle me this, asshole. I love that. That made me laugh so hard.
Yeah, I like that. And he's like, well, that means you're not a hero, because Batman would never kill people. It's like,
which I would love to ask James Gunn about that, because it's like, this is the DCEU. Our Batman kills. The Batman in this universe kills. So
I thought it was funny that like that old man is literally there just to piss people off. Like, that's just his job. He doesn't.
He's looking for trouble, for sure.
He doesn't care about being right. He just wants to fuck with you. And I thought that was like really, really funny that he's just like, well, in that case, then you are a bad guy. And it's like, what do you want? What do you want? Just go inside. Like, at some point, you got to leave me alone. But that's just his job. His job is just to make you mad. And I thought that was really funny.
Oh yeah, and him sneaking around trying to avoid him and him tracking him down at the end too is just so perfect. To your point about the White Dragon costume and him potentially killing his dad, the line that Vigilante says about the weak points, I think he says it's the cloth weak points, and the ties to white supremacy. I immediately thought of like the KKK, right? And this idea of the cloth robes and stuff. So just kind of as a metaphor, just like, oh, this is a fucked up, faulty ideology, but there's also weaknesses in his physical armor, even though he's a genius who presumably should know this type of thing. So I think the fact that could come around, that it would be a powerful move. But yeah, this character has no redeeming qualities as far as I can tell. So I don't think anyone's gonna be losing sleep over it.
Yeah, and Robert Patrick plays him so well. Like, how do you make me hate Robert Patrick?
Oh, he's great. Yeah.
So let's get into the jail sequence. So right before that, we get back to the base. Mern and Adebayo are talking, and Mern wants Adebayo to go after Chris because Chris sees her as a friend, someone that he can actually trust, right? So she heads to the jail. Chris and Adrian are driving to the jail after they find out that his dad's in prison. And then we get this conversation between Adebayo and Chris, where Adebayo tells him, your dad sees people that looks like me as second-class citizens. And John's acting in this scene, and he's like, yo, I know, it's fucked up. And it's like, I felt it. Like, his dramatic acting has been so fucking good in this series. So, Brian, I want to start with you. Like, what were your thoughts on that entire like sequence, like right before Adebayo puts the inception into Adrian's mind to kill August?
It was just on it. This is the beginning of the episode becoming truly tragic, and Adebayo is a big part of that. Um, like you said, Chris trusts her and thinks of her as someone that has his best intentions at heart. And she starts to play the game and starts manipulating and doing things. And it's just kind of tough to see, even though she's obviously saying real things about who his father is, that on some level he's always known. But it just really shows this. And it's really interesting because I hadn't thought too much about it, but looking back, there's this idea of incarcerated people being non-citizens, kind of forgotten about by society. And even if your mother or father did the most heinous crime, would you visit them in jail? You probably would visit them in jail, because they're family and there's this inherent connection. And I think that's speaking to something very true. And obviously the characters, I keep saying this, they're exaggerated, but it's speaking to real issues that are relatable and important to society. And we totally understand, even though this guy is a terrible person, he's his father. And the acting, yeah, John Cena, I don't think it can be understated. He's really selling all of what he needs to do here and carrying the show in a real way.
Yeah, man. Steve?
That scene was really, really powerful, and that was the dialogue that I felt like we are kind of been waiting for. In a sense, that was one of the first situations, because Adebayo and John Cena's character, Peacemaker, basically have that same parental issues. They have those issues, and they need to talk. They're gonna need eventually to have these conversations with each other. And then she's basically, I think her plan is like to, what I'm saying, kill the white dragon. That's her plan. And so she tried it with Peacemaker. She's like, what I'm saying, your dad does this. He sees me as a second class citizen. Stop, defending him, stop protecting him. That's her way of doing her first version of Inception. She tried it, and then I think that it didn't work. Where I was like super easy for Adrian, because Adrian's just, what I'm saying, just dumb. He's easily to manipulate. He's easy to manipulate. But like she's trying to manipulate Peacemaker in a sense too. Even though she's telling the truth, she does feel some certain way. But she's also trying to get you to like stop protecting him. Like, what I'm saying? Like, this is something that needs to be done in a sense. And I feel like that's something that is going on. And it ultimately makes me believe that the day that she actually gets this Inception thing to work, whether it be next episode or the next episode, not necessarily with this particular character with Peacemaker and the White Dragon, but just with any character, I think that's more peeling back the layers of her becoming like Amanda Waller, in a sense, where it's like this is her first time. Her first kill obviously happens in this episode. Now if I can convince people to do stuff like this is just more pulling of the layers back, because obviously, I mean, let's just be real. Viola Davis is too big of an actress to be on a TV show at this point. So you need an Amanda Waller-esque character possibly in this universe. And I could see this being the character development of that. And then also her, later on diving back and decide not to.
TV's changed, man. I don't know if you can say that anymore. TV's a lot different. Like these days, like stars, like they're all on TV, man. Like every single big star that I can think of. I mean, like Tom Cruise hasn't been on like a TV series, but he's doing a billion movies. Like even Dwayne Johnson, like he's doing TV shows. Like I think she's great, but she's not necessary for this series. Like we're supposed to be getting to know these characters, and Myrn is mission leader, right? So there's no reason for Amanda Waller to be that much in the series. But yeah, man, I mean, I'll take as much Viola Davis as I can get. Like she's incredible.
I think you'll get small glimpses, but I don't think we'll get enough of her to like have an impact as far as like, ooh, that dirty motherfucker again. You know what I'm saying? But I can feel like this is her peeling the eggshells back and possibly becoming more like Amanda Waller in a sense. But it's so weird because you just don't know the direction of TV shows. You don't know if they're going to be like, I'm never going to be like my mother, or if they're going to be like, aha. You know what I'm saying? Like you just
Yeah.
never know.
Yeah,
So
you really don't.
I don't know but I do think that this was her first attempt at trying to do the Inception. I don't think Adrian was her first attempt. I think this was her first try.
Vash, what about you? What did you think about this sequence with Adebayo and Chris?
It was beautiful because it's something that Merm was right, that they both have a connection of friendship. Chris is a person that's trying to understand himself as a character and trying to understand that um after he meets his father and everything, like, he understands that he like once he goes and talk to Harcourt, like he wants to know what is on his file that he doesn't know about himself as well, because Abadiah even brought up like it's on your file of what your brother has of what your father has done and what he's done to you and what you've done everything. Like they know him as a file, they don't know him as a person. But Abadiah has only met
Wow.
him
Yeah.
as a person as well. That's why she actually connected to him, and that's why she tried to reach out to him like, hey, you don't need to see him. Your father is a scumbag bitch and he's a racist like person. He's the fucking white dragon and you want to go to see him, and like he says something that any son or daughter or any person that has some type of love to your parent that can understand. But he's my father still. I want to just go see him. So like me, I can relate to like I don't have the best relationship with my parents, but I still somehow sometimes still seek some type of approval from them. Like, yo, I'm in my career. Are you happy for me? So stuff like that, I can relate to and understand for Chris' character. Like, no matter he knows his father's fucker, he knows. And just after that scene, he started to realize it more and accept it. And something that I think Abadai or Vigilante brought up, that saying that he might have to kill his dad because I think it was Vigilante saying that
Yeah.
your um your father racist already. Well, why don't you kill him? And then Chris like, no, I can't do it. It's my dad. But then that breaks your code. You said that you kill men, women, and children, anybody that actually doesn't bring peace, but your father is one that actually brings problems to this. So it
He's
makes
still
me
human.
question like, is Chris gonna actually come to the decision that he has to kill his father later down this season? If this is a one season show, or if there is a second season, would he have to go and confront his father as a villain? So this conversation between him and Vigilante and him and Prozabeta was very beautiful and very impactful for him as a character, because he questioned himself a lot when he saw his father and right after as well.
Yeah, man.
Did we talk about the Batman scene while I was gone?
Yeah.
I just want to say a quick thing. I love the Batman slander. It's comedy because it was just full entertainment. Because he just got tired of the bullshit. Like my boy could have just got in the car and just left, but he just like, you know what? Batman down fucking hero is just full slander. I love it because it's all about perspective of how do you see the Batman the character on what his motives are. Because to some extent, like you are a rich billionaire and you go out dress as a bat suit and then go do this and go beat up thugs. But it depends on perspective. For some people, he's a hero. For some people, he's a villain, and for some others, he's a vigilante. He's in the borderline. So I just love that type of slander. It felt right, and I feel like James Gunn like just likes to do these Easter eggs and these type of just fun for comedy, because there was this interview of how James Gunn writes these script for the episodes, and then he does the research after. So I really wonder like if there's a behind the scenes or type of documentary to know like of how of his brain to like does he first write it fully and then go what type of character can I put some Easter egg here, what type of like character that nobody knows about that I could put here, or does he already know about it but he does more research about it. So it's very intriguing of how his brain thoughts thinks about all this.
Yeah, I mean, I would like it if he didn't look anything up unless he already knew and
Yeah.
then filled stuff in after. Because that way
Yep.
you're not influenced by anything that happens in the comics and trying to, like, recreate that or try to make something similar. You just write a good story with these characters that would be interesting and then you check the source material. It's like, oh, that would be cool. This would be an interesting Easter egg to put here. This would be dope here. One thing that I want to talk about before we switch gears to Adrian getting himself arrested was just Chris's conversation with his dad. And he's telling his dad, like, yo, like, they switched your prints for mine. Like, if you can just, like, keep it together just for a little bit while longer while we finish this mission, I'll turn myself in. And his dad is just berating him constantly. Like we already talked about, like, I should have slit your throat when you came out of your mom. All of these different things. And then it's like, that was so fucked up. And then James Gunn does this really good job of like just like switching it up just a little bit and just to add a little bit of humor into it. And he's like, you know what, Dad, maybe I'm a shower, maybe I'm not a shower, maybe I'm a grower, right? Like, and he's like, are you comparing yourself to a fucking chode? He's like, like, I'm a grower, like, over time, like you'll grow to love me. It's like, he wants acceptance so bad. It's so sad. Oh my God.
But
No,
then
yeah,
no, Brian, go ahead.
No. I just wanted to that was the note that I took down from that scene, was the grower not a shower, because the dad is doing what you'd expect and saying horrible things, and then John Cena, he sees everything through these innuendos, and it's all he knows, and he's so genuinely trying to connect that it's just like, oh my God, Chris, I'm so sorry.
Dude, comedy comes from a dark place, man. Like, his humor comes from his trauma and him trying to deal with it. Like,
and it's sad but powerful, because it shows that his father even said, like, I've always liked your brother more. And that's what sucks when it comes to siblings. Us as kids, us as parents, we know there's always a favorite. But when you say it and say that, I wish I slit your throat when you was born, I'm like, those type of things like hurt and trauma your kids. Like, yeah, it's fine to know that his brother was your favorite, cool. But saying that you never wish you existed, saying that you was just a nobody, you useless,
never loved him,
like those shit hurt. And I just felt bad for Chris of his character, because he was shocked, he was speechless, but he was not trying to look weak against his dad. He was like he was trying to brush it off. He's like, nah, Dad, I'm a shower. I'll show you that you could love me. I'm like, boy, Chris, you're fucking 25 plus years old. You think your dad will still love you? Like, what else can you prove to him? You're a trained assassin killer. You look in this outfit and everything, which I'm still shocked that the prison, so let him walk in with this outfit and nobody question him, like, hey,
he's
are you
definitely supposed to be in jail.
Yeah, like
right. I'm like, so did he have to check his gun and
ID?
like,
Thank you, right? Like, nobody checking his ID or like, hey, just walk in. You look like a good hero. Yeah, you're suit and tie. Yeah, a dove. Yeah, you are a piece of
but immediately after
dove.
that, Chris and Adebayo have this really, really good moment in the car, that kind of cements like their friendship. And he's talking about, everyone fucking hates me. It's like, I'm the chode and I'm not the good kind. And she's like, you know what? I don't hate you. I like you. And you're the good kind of chode.
Yes.
Even though I don't like it.
Right. So it's just like, I love that. I love that he's actually gaining this friend in Adebayo and how everything's going with that. Like, I love it. And then go ahead.
See, with that conversation, it's more so like Mern just was like, you're the closest to him. She's like, no, he's more close to Harcourt. And she's like, no, he wants to fuck her.
Yeah.
You're close. You know what I'm saying? You guys are close. He's closest to you. And then having that conversation now at this point is like, is it genuine? Because it's always felt like it was genuine before. But now that it's already been told to him, is it genuine, or is she have another motive? Like, I have this like inkling, like now, like she might be someone that might have some other tricks up her sleeve at this point.
See, I hope not. At that scene, I read as genuine, but it's a good point, because she's learning her manipulation skills definitely throughout the course of this episode. So it would be a bummer if she's playing him there.
And the thing is, too, as an audience, like we're watching it, her manipulation skills when she manipulates Adrian, it's really like glaring. It's obvious. Like, she's manipulating him and it's obvious to us. So
He's just so wants to be helpful and wanted
yeah,
by
That's what it
anyone that
is.
he's
so
like,
it's
oh,
very
hurt.
obvious. So I feel like maybe those are real scenes with her and Peacemaker, because if that's the case, you know what I'm saying, they're
Yeah.
not as glaring as they are with Adrian. So you might be right. Those might be pretty much, honest, genuine scenes.
Hope so.
Yeah, hope so. Yeah. So we get to this next sequence that has my favorite Easter egg of any of the 4 episodes so far. Like Batmite was one of my favorites, like but this one cements like my favorite Easter egg in Peacemaker so far. Right? So Adrian finds this trash can right in front of these cops, right? And throws the trash can into one of the glasses so that he can get arrested, right? But one of the officers is reading a newspaper that says Gorilla still missing, which is another Gorilla Grodd reference, right? But if you look further down on the newspaper, it says Intergang seizes control in nation of Kondak. Bro. So for those of you that don't know, right? Intergang, these are Superman villains that got weaponry and technology from Darkseid on Apocalypse, and Kondak is Black Adam's home country. So Intergang is potentially using apocalyptic weapons right now, taking over Black Adam's home country. Mind exploded.
Holy shit.
Mind exploded.
Catch that at all. I didn't catch that at all. I saw the Gorilla Glide part, but I did not see the rest of that.
Yeah, I was taking notes, and I was actually trying to get a screenshot of it, but I forgot to post it in Streamlabs so I can have it up so you guys can see it. But when I paused it, I was like, that fucking says Intergang.
I did not notice that. Wow, that's crazy.
I'm like, Kondak, what is that? That's Black Adam's home country. Intergang is using apocalyptic weapons in Kondak right now. Like, this is crazy what James Gunn is doing with this universe. So that absolutely blew my fucking mind.
You gotta make James Gunn Kevin Feige at this point for DC.
Man, dude.
At this point,
I will have no problem with that. I'm like, if Kevin Feige is done after Guardians of the Galaxy 3, if he has no interest in Marvel and he wants to stay in DC and do more crazy Peacemaker, Suicide Squad, DC stuff, if he wants to, I'm all for it. Like cosmic stuff as well, I'm all for it, because James Gunn is a very experimental creator with the B, the C's, the D's, and the Z-list characters. So I'm all for it. If you want to bring it to the characters that are not as popular and then make them popular, I'm all for it.
If
like,
he's giving Easter eggs like that, you have to. Like, you don't have anything any close to stabilization in DCU. So why not? And he's giving you Easter eggs like that. That means that he knows what the fuck he's doing. Like, you've already ran off the other guy from Justice League, Zack Snyder. So it's like, at this point, why not? You need to set up a foundation.
Another quick little Easter egg: as Chris and Adrian are driving to the prison, you can see it's not a bobblehead, but there's like a figure on the dash. That's actually a character created by James Gunn called Ultra Bunny. So that was also another cool little Easter egg of a character James Gunn created that's now DCEU canon. Intergang and Ultra Bunny are now DCEU canon. This is amazing.
It's crazy.
Yeah, man. So it's a wild ride of Easter eggs in this episode. And switching gears again, we get back to the base. Go ahead.
I just wanted to say that scene where, because I thought the gag where the trash can was just ridiculously heavy was a really funny gag, but it almost made me think of, I don't know if you guys have seen One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, but there's a climactic scene in this movie where I don't think it's a trash can, but a window gets broken to escape from this like mental facility. And with who Vigilante is, I couldn't help but think to One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. It's like doing it to go into the prison rather than escape. Just a very silly gag.
I was just laughing at how the cops was just watching this and just like really observing, like,
what the fuck is he
I don't know how the cops was just chilling, but then start to notice and be like, what this boy is doing? And then just knows he just threw it. Like, boy, what are you doing? Like, oh yeah, just arrest me. And also like, don't step on my toe. If you can, don't step on my
Watch
right
my pinky toe.
Like that's just cut, so just be gentle.
Like that's a part of the arresting process. It's like, well, let me put you in handcuffs and also check your pinky toe.
Yeah.
Make sure. But what we did skip on the conversation that him and Adebayo had about his secret identity. I thought that
right. I forgot. Yeah.
Between them. And she's like, she's all like, so you're a vigilante. He's like, no.
Well, no, I'm not.
The voice change is so good. Yeah.
And even when he walks away a little bit, she's like, so why are you limping? And he's like, motherfucker, like, I gotta like
this was from an injury completely unrelated to Vigilante. I don't even know who he is.
You could tell he was fed up with her shit. He was like, motherfucker.
He just wants to hold on to this secret identity for as long as he possibly can. He just thinks it's so fucking cool. Like, oh my God. They're absolute fucking idiots.
Right, yeah.
But we cut back to base and we find out Judo Master got loose. I love Judo Master. Like, he's so fucking hilarious. Like, he wakes up and you can just see him like just like wiggling his arm, doing like ninja shit, trying to get out of the restraints. And then he just kicks the shit out of John and just launches him across the table. And then we finally get the Chris and Judo Master rematch, which I thought was absolutely fucking hilarious. Judo Master tells him what he has like an abnormally like bubbly body or some shit like that.
Bubbly. What a hilarious description. I get it though. I kind of see it. It is a little bit bubbly.
It's like personal insults, dude. Really? So, Brian, I want to toss it to you. Like, what did you think about the Chris versus Judo Master rematch?
So, to Vash's point earlier, I don't think it was necessarily my favorite fight that we've seen throughout the course of this. I think the fight in the apartment building with the original butterfly that he sleeps with is
she fucks him up.
And the level of violence, him getting stabbed there, is so visceral and hard to watch that it was like it didn't live up to that. But what the payoff at the end, where we not only get Adebayo shooting someone for the first time, so huge character point for her, but we also get the ridiculous line from Chris about martial artists being able to swap their heart out for a kidney. I was absolutely dying. He's like, they're incredible. At least a couple.
I'm like,
of them definitely.
Like, is this like another reference to some type of aliens or some type of DC character that we don't know? Or because I'm like, what character has changed from the liver to heart?
Ninjas, man.
Very talented.
He did say that. Ninjas.
Dude, because depending on the lore, right, you'll always have those ninjas that can like heal broken limbs with like breathing techniques and all kind of weird shit. They can push bullets out of wounds with like breathing techniques and meditation and shit. So it's like, we know it's gonna happen. Judo Master's gonna be fine. He's gonna replace his heart with a fucking kidney, even though it doesn't actually pump blood. It's a filtration system. Who cares? Comics.
I love that stuff just because even when he walks out there, Peacemaker goes, "This is the rematch, bitch." Like,
so good.
Like, and Boy was so excited for it too. Like Boy was like the most happiest man. Like, let's go rematch number 2. Like, but like, it like I felt like it was a wrestling match, but like no holds barred, out in the streets, in the car. Like, he was so excited. Like, time to win this match. I'm getting all in.
Yeah, and it felt like maybe Peacemaker respected him more because he didn't hold back. Like, there was times where Judo Master like kind of grabbed his arm. He's like, "Nope, I'm just gonna body slam you," instead of letting you do whatever the fuck you think you're gonna do. So he's like, "Nope," and he kind of like body slams him on the car a little bit, and then Judo Master does some shit and flips him over a little bit, and he's like, "All right, whatever." And it's just like he's just using his strength to like actually win this fight instead of letting Judo Master kind of like dictate the fight like how he did in the first one. I thought that was really interesting the way that they were fighting this time versus the last time that they fought, because it definitely felt like Judo Master dictated that fight. He was like, "I'm going to use your weight against you. I'm going to use your strength against you." And this time he was just like, "Nope." And he just like kind of slams him on the hood of the car a little bit. He's just like, nope, I'm not gonna let you do that. And he's just doing shit like that. And then even at the end, I wonder, like he's like, butterflies aren't what you think, and then he gets shot. And that was an interesting thing because it was like,
Such a cliffhanger.
yeah, like what the fuck is
I found myself like, you could have maybe said this a little earlier, but I get for the plot. It's a nice cliffhanger,
Yes.
especially
Right.
where things go. But
And
it's
he
like,
was-
you could have
he
maybe
was-
explained yourself.
Yeah, like
And it's like
instead of
the thing is, now that you say that, Steve, did Adebayo shoot Judo Master to save Chris or to stop him from revealing secrets?
Exactly.
correct. So that's what's
Boom.
curious to know. Like, was Adebayo waiting there the whole time and listening, or just watching? Like, girl just came at the right time, or too much at the right time? Because, like,
No.
That's
Yeah,
what I'm saying.
I don't
Steve,
want that
she's
to be the
going
case.
bad.
She's such a nice character. I don't think it's
I know.
in her unless James Gunn's playing the supreme long game.
Mhm.
But I mean, I don't see it. But I mean, it's interesting to speculate. It's like, well, did she shoot him
Yeah.
because she doesn't want him to say anything? Because it's like, regardless of why the butterflies are here, we have to get rid of them because I mean, they've literally like cemented themselves across the entire planet.
Mhm.
but then that makes me wonder. It's like, what? Okay, do you guys have any theories? If Judo Master got to finish his sentence, do you guys have any theories of what he was trying to say? Like, because he said like the butterflies is not what you think. Like, is it because there's two sides of a story? Like, there, like some butterflies are bad, some butterflies are good. You know how the scrolls there is different factions. Like, there's some scrolls are good, some scrolls want to be as a civil war. Is it like that? Because the way I felt it when we saw the butterfly coming out of the head and everything, I felt like the butterfly was like the Men in Black. Like, they are kind of like the Ultron. Like, they're kind of like the pilot in the body. So
Mhm.
that's what I feel like those butterflies are.
I thought that was so. I'm not sure what he was gonna say. And I do notice, like, when you were like, "Why didn't he say that earlier?" I feel like he just decided to say it because he was losing that fight. He was like, "I'm getting my ass whooped."
Yeah, that's fair.
Let me
Yeah.
let me say something. But I don't know exactly what he was gonna say because obviously he was the security guard or bodyguard of butterflies. So he has some connection to them and he knows deeper than what we think, you know what I'm saying, or what we already know as the watcher. So I'm wondering what that, you know what I'm saying, what that dynamic was, what he was going to actually say. Clearly, he's not a butterfly because she shot him in the chest and the butterfly didn't try to escape or anything. So he's actually.
I mean, the butterflies are in the head, and because the butterfly knows that it has Judo Master's body, it would be able to like try to attempt to like heal itself. So but that's what I think,
Yeah. I'm not sure if Judo Master is. I don't think he is, but I think he definitely knows.
Yeah, I don't think he is
a
either,
lot.
but I'm just saying, on like based on what you were
Maybe
saying.
because the green could be like the green of his suit could be like caterpillar, and then you grow into a butterfly. The whole type of symbolic. I'm just saying, like, if that's what Judo Master, the butterfly, that's what he protects the people higher of them. Maybe he is, or maybe he's the next person to become a butterfly. I know I'm reaching, I know I'm stretching, but it's just throwing an idea out there.
I'm just
Yeah, I
wondering
mean,
what it is.
I don't know because even if they are good, they're removing free will from the people that they inhabit, right? And they're using them for their own will. But it's like, what could they possibly be doing to help us by removing free will?
Assuming that this isn't bodies that are created or something, and there's something else going on where there's like human suits being created. It's still unclear at this point if people are taken over, because he does ask, do they just go up your nose and take over your brain or something? So I'm still not certain of it, if it's like, or if the amount of them on Earth is overstated. We got that one image of all the dots. I feel like that could be maybe a little bit of a mislead, because we don't really know who knows what, and obviously the full extent of these butterflies.
That's a good point, man. Yeah, I didn't even consider that, honestly. That's a really good point. So let's move into like another one of my favorite conversations, and this is between Harcourt and Adebayo, right? Because this is right after she shoots Judo Master, and Adebayo's like, I don't think I'm cut out for this shit, right? And Adebayo tells her, after my first kill, she didn't have her period for 3 months. which is fucking crazy just to think about how mentally stressed she was for that to happen to begin with. And then Adebayo asks her, like, does it get any easier? And Harcourt's like, no, but it's good that it hurts, or otherwise you become Amanda Waller and you treat human life like it's nothing. And just the way that Adebayo looks at her, it just again is just like, this is like the third or fourth person that said something along the lines about how my mother just throws away human life on a whim, like it's nothing. So I love this conversation between the two, because this is Harcourt like seeing this person and actually trying to help, right? She's trying to like ease her mind just a little bit. So Brian, I'm gonna toss it to you. Like, what did you think about this conversation between Harcourt and Adebayo back at the base?
This is just another difficult one, to what we've been saying earlier. I think maybe if she's at all skeptical of why her mother put her in this situation, I think this is the first moment where she's really like, oh, am I being left out to dry here? It seems like everyone knows who my mother is except for me. And now she's put me in this kind of sketchy situation. But I do like that she is opening up to her. And it ties back to the first episode where she's giving the awkward speech and like, oh, we're women, we have to stick together, this and that. So this is finally them kind of coming together, the two women in the group, and sympathizing with each other. And the thing about, I think that's a real thing, like stress-induced changes to like period and stuff. So the fact they're getting into that kind of stuff, even though, it's not ultimately what the show is about, it brought a real level of reality to this character who up until this point was a little bit one note, but I appreciate that we're getting her to open up a little bit to Chris to some degree, but Adebayo here as well.
Facts. Steve?
Yeah, so with that whole situation, it's Adebayo is basically in that same like mental state of like, what has my mom really done? And she's like just hearing it every day during this mission. And it's actually really weird because nobody knows that she's the daughter either. So they're openly, free willingly talking about her mom. And like, yeah, your mom's a piece of shit in a sense. You know what I'm saying? They're not necessarily killing her. Like, they probably would hold back a little bit. So it's not like they're lying. You know what I'm saying? Like, they don't know that this is your mom. So they're telling you the truth. And I think like every time she hears it, she's like, this shit has to be true. Like, this can't be like just stuff that people are glossing over or anything like that. And the fact that she doesn't know this information is actually really scary, because it's like, who is this person that I thought that I knew so well? I'm talking to her every day. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking to her at nighttime on FaceTime or video chat as these missions are going on. So it's one of those things where it's like really, really deep, and it's deeper than what we know because it's off screen a lot. Like, these conversations obviously are off screen, so we don't know the severity of these conversations and things like that. So her mental thought and everything like that has to be like going crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like, just to know what's going on and everything like that.
Yeah, Vash.
I don't know if Adebayo should feel hurt because these people sees her mom in a different way or different perspective, but at the same time, we have all different sides we show to people. We show a different side to our partner, to our lover, friends, family, coworkers. We don't all show the same side as lovely dovely, cold, bitch, however it is. So it's gonna be very curious to see how Adebayo is gonna react once she asks her mom, or once because Adebayo and plus Amanda Waller looked like they had a normal mom and daughter relationship, because her mom actually, hey, hey daughter, good night. Like, she told her, hey, get my eyes to here. The mom looked like she has a lot of trust on her daughter, but Amanda Waller don't look like she has trust to nobody else. So it's very curious to see how she's gonna react once she finds out more about her mom. Will she see her mom the same, or will she understand that of what she told her mom, this is my last job that I'm gonna do for you and everything. But it's because she knows how much she hates the job, because of how much she probably knows who her mom is, but she never has heard from other people's perspective. So maybe that's
I
going to
doubt
change her
she
view
does.
as well. No, I'm curious because it like maybe that's why she's so hard on not doing this job or maybe not being in this type of business. That's just my theory of where maybe that's what she already never wanted to do this, but her mom acts
So
as favor.
I see where you're going with this, but I
Uh-huh.
think she's that way because of how she grew up. There's no way that her mom was around while she grew up. So that's why she's so adamant on having the family, the fur babies, and not living that life because she saw what that did to her mom and she was never around. So I think that's where the differences lie for me
Yeah.
personally, but it's definitely possible. Definitely
Uh,
possible.
it's gonna be very curious to see like overall it's gonna be very curious to see of how Adebayo gonna react if we see in episode 5, 6, 7, and 8, uh, like another Zoom call with her mom, like, "Hey, mom, this is the update. I found a merm. It's a butterfly. I found, Chris. Actually, I don't have the courage to put the fake diary, I think, or the fake
Yeah,
book.
the fake journal.
Um,
Yeah.
get a fake journal into Peacemaker. So it's gonna be very curious to see. And but mom, I have a couple questions. I heard this is this. Is this true about you? Like, yes, daughter. When I'm not with you, this is why I left you when you was a kid, but I'm still with your mom the whole time. But I had to be this way because of this. This is the life I chose as a career. So it's gonna be very curious to see of how the chemistry and the dynamic is gonna switch and gonna come as a realization for them as a mother and daughter and as a co-workers because right now they're in the borderline as mother and daughter, but also she technically works for her mom right now, so
Hmm.
it's going to be very curious about that.
Yeah. So right after that, Adebayo's still talking to Harcourt, and she just casually mentions like, "Yeah, I convinced Adrian to kill August, and like I don't know how I feel about it." And Harcourt's like, "Wait, what?" It hard cuts to Mern, and he's like, "Every time I turn around, someone in his team is doing something else really fucked up. Like, what are we doing, guys?" And then he pretty much calls them what, the Apple Dumpling Gang. I'm like, dude, these references, right?
It's fucking funny as shit.
It's like, you imbeciles. Like, what are you doing? It's like, are you trying to fuck all of this up? Did you really think it was a good idea? He already doesn't trust us, but you think it's a good idea to convince his best friend to kill his father, and then John's
No,
like,
it's the
well,
eagle.
technically, it's Eagly.
Ego.
I was like, why is this relevant information, dude? It's like, no one's going to believe that oh my god. It's so stupid.
But it's true
Easily
though,
could do
like,
some damage though if he wanted to. I believe that.
well, if I'm correct, Eagle is the one that brought Chris the dead rat or dead squirrel, and then like, hey, eat this. Back in episode 2, like in the beginning. So like, hey,
He
you,
was
you
like
want
a
to eat this
skunk
dead
or
rat?
something.
Right, like a skunk or
He's
squirrel
like,
or rat. I don't know what it was.
thanks.
He was just tampering the scene so that they wouldn't follow Peacemaker's trail. It was throwing him off.
It's really funny though because it's like this is the second time that you've tried to take his dad out of the picture. And it's like, dude, what the fuck are y'all doing? Like, as Mern, he's like, what are y'all doing? We're trying to get him to trust us.
Yeah.
We just got him arrested. He's in prison right now as we speak. And now you're trying to kill him. It's like, what are y'all doing, guys?
But it's very contradicting because Merm asks about having to trust us, but he don't even trust him to tell the real information of what the butterflies are. So
That's
it's very
the job,
contradicting. It's a job, but it's more. I'm loving the conversation of pointing the red flag of like of trust, but you don't even trust to give vital information of your own crew of what you're doing really here. So I just love like pointing out the big picture, but you're also leaving out the small details of the big picture. So I just love that.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, it's not about trust, it's about following orders, right? Like, we can put that on Marvel too. Winter Soldier is a really good example of that. Like, Black Widow and Cap were on the same ship, two completely different missions, and Cap had no idea that Black Widow had a completely different mission than everyone else. So it's just like this, like, compartmentalizing details. It's like, well, you're the gun, you don't need to know the details. I tell you where to point and you shoot, right? but it's like Mern's a little bit more complicated, and I love that all of these characters are a lot more complicated than just that, right? And that's what sets him apart from Waller as well. So let's get into the prison scene. This shit was absolutely fucking hilarious, and the actor that plays Vigilante, this was the scene where it's just like, yeah, this dude belongs in a Kevin Smith movie. Like, his timing with these insults, bro. He's like, you know what? Let's all just pick a topic and talk about our feelings about it. I'll start. Let's talk about something that we're grateful for that black people contributed to American culture, like rock and roll.
So
That
good.
shit was hilarious, bro.
Especially with the fact that this show is so heavily like 80s hair rock, whatever the style of rock that's been throughout the whole show, and then they're just reckoning with the true past of this in this perfect way, where he's just pissing off these racists in the most phenomenal way. Yeah, no, this is incredible stuff, and his comic timing is absolutely on point here. And the fight here too, I thought it's short-lived, but he kicks a little bit of ass, and I was like, okay, all right, are we gonna get a straight up huge prison riot scene here? But obviously the father was smarter than that in terms of getting himself into more trouble than he already was at the time.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, he took out those three guys pretty quickly, but
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, he knew just how to push the buttons. He's like, you know what rock and roll would sound like without black people? It would sound like, what does it say? The wet sloppy sound of you fucking your sister.
Yeah.
I was like, damn. And I agree with James saying that
Oh my god.
the actor does such a great job to sell the scene, to really like give a serious point. And Nova gives it such a good point, like a masterclass of how to piss off racists, but such a good way that is dark humor, but in a comedy way, but you sound so serious about it. Like your face is like, you know what? Let's talk about rock and roll, but such a great serious face telling these white people, like, yo, I'm serious about it. Like, yo, black people did such a great job about it, man. And like he did such a great job acting that scene. Like, props to him.
Dude, these insults, like, you dumb sister fucking tiki torch carrying sloth from the Goonies looking pieces of shit.
I didn't catch the sloth. Yeah, I didn't catch the sloth line. That's amazing.
Oh
And
my
by the way,
god.
props to the hand combat that Adrian Chase showed, because we have only seen him with weapons, but to
Right.
actually see him with the hand combat and without his suit, I love that very much, because he took them those three guys out in ease. So I just love that it showed us the audience that my man still got skills. He's still good without the weapon and without the suit. It's not like how most people of how Iron Man said it, like, what are you without the suit? He's still a trained person that knows how to kill even without the suit. So I just love how he still knows how to turn it on, and he did a great job. And even Chris' father knew that, like, hey, I won't hit you, because right, the camera shows that you're the victim because they hit you first. So if I go and attack you, I'm the one here about to fuck up. And I just love how the father said, I still want to talk to the detective. So
Right.
smart.
He figured it out.
Yeah. So I wanted to kick it to you guys. It just shows, like, it continues to show the intellect of August. As pissed off as he was, he knew he had to check himself. There were cameras. He set these other guys up to fight first, so that Vigilante is now defending himself. You know, so if he did kill, you know, August, he would have been justified in it. So he knows not to push it, even though he's really upset. So kind of wanted to go around and just, like, because that's kind of like, I love how he just handled that situation. He's a piece of shit, but he handled it really well.
Mm-hmm.
It's a continuation. Sorry, go ahead, Steve.
No, go ahead.
It's such a continuation of, because we really, especially me, not knowing the full extent of this supervillain, basically, when he goes into the prison and immediately gets this level of respect from all these other white supremacists, you start to realize, okay, this guy is more than what we realized. And this is just pure mob boss energy, right? At no point did his heart rate get above, you know, standing rate. He's just like, all right, who are you again? Like, you're clearly more than what you seem. And I do want to shout out in terms of the direction, the scene when he first gets into jail and he's so calmly walking. There's the tracking shot through it. Everyone's trying to get a rise out of him. And he's so purpose driven. He knows exactly who he's looking for and exactly what he's gonna do and execute his plan as well as it could possibly go. But yeah, big mob boss energy from the father.
Yeah, man. And then I mean, August, Adrian tells him you're a bad father, and then I don't know why, but instantly he thinks that Chris was trying to kill him. It's just like, you know, he loves you, like he's constantly looking for your approval, and yet you think that your son sent someone to kill you. So that was something that was like, that's kind of really like fucked in the head. So I kind of wanted to toss it to you guys to see how you thought about like him jumping to that conclusion instantly.
I don't think that was his way of thinking, because Peacemaker actually came to the prison and said, I didn't know anything about this. They are doing things behind my back, and that's why you're in jail. So when he said, you're a bad father, it's like, even though he probably was like, oh, okay, these are people that Chris knows, I think he still thinks these are the people that he's working for, and they're trying to kill me on the inside.
So why not say that? Because he says verbatim, my son is trying to kill me. So it's like, why not say someone is trying to kill me? Why jump straight to the conclusion my son's trying to kill me?
Because he hates his son anyway.
It's so
So
fucked up. It's so
I mean,
fucked
I
up.
don't know. Maybe he does think it's Chris. You know what I'm saying? Maybe he does think it. But to me, I'm thinking he knows that it's someone that he's working with that's trying to kill him, especially because he just randomly. And I don't understand why Adrian delivered that information. You're a bad father. Like, now he knows.
It was
Like,
an
that
it was an emotional moment. Like in that moment, he thought he was getting rid of a huge obstacle for his best friend, right?
Mhm.
So and he just wanted to tell him straight to his face, "You're a bad father. Chris is a great person, and he has to deal with a fuck up racist piece of shit like you as his dad." So that's where that came from, and it just slipped out because he instantly knows that he fucked up and only made things worse for
Yeah.
Chris and the mission.
Yeah, he says it too later on in the episode. He's like, I fucked up. He's like, yeah. But I just
That moment.
honestly and truthfully, I feel like I mean, he's smarter he has to be smarter than that to know that it's not Chris. He has to think that it's everybody else that's around him. I don't understand that small little gap that they decided to do right there, but I feel like he has to know that it's not him.
And I feel like, so he expresses something earlier about him working for the deep state or something. So I think it could kind of be like he knows the type of person that he is and that he probably deserves to be killed by this group, even if that's not their goal. So he's probably just like, the timing of the son being there, this guy getting in jail, probably over the course of what, a day or a day and a half, he's just putting the pieces together. But I do think it's a little it didn't make a whole lot of sense to me why he immediately, it felt like shorthand for the audience rather than his character realistically actually thinking that maybe.
Yeah, that makes sense. Vash, what are your thoughts on this?
Of what exactly?
On him just like jumping to the conclusion, thinking that it's Chris trying to kill him, when he knows that the organization that Chris is working for was the one that actually set him up, because he just instantly goes and says, my son is trying to kill me, rather than someone's trying to kill me, get me Detective Song because I have evidence.
My guess that he reacted like that, it was maybe a script choice, or maybe it was him as an acting choice. They chose that scene to keep in the to keep in the scene, or his father, I guess, felt like what he told his son in the previous scene, saying that, I wish I slit your throat when you was born. Maybe like, hey, maybe I did go too hard. Maybe I went too rough. Maybe I shouldn't have told that I would kill my son, and I should have slit his throat. So maybe he was second guessing.
Such an
So that's
optimist.
so that's my bread and butter, James. I got hopes for some humanity.
I'm like, this dude has no soul, bro. Not at all. He does not care about his son at
Hey,
all.
I gotta hope somewhere. Hey, you chose to fuck the mom. You chose to have another kid. Like, you gotta have some heart, some 1%, 5%. 0.5% of love toward this long lost
I
child.
don't think so. I also think August blames Chris for his other son's death.
So can we talk about that? Because
We will once we get to that final scene, because I do want to talk about Chris and Harcourt's conversation real quick, but we will talk about all of that. So
Because
let's just get
cool.
to that real quick. So we're at the bar and Chris just shows up where Harcourt is, and he just wants to know, like, what's in my file? What does it say that my father did to me when I was young? And all Harcourt tells him is like, yeah, I mean, all we know is that your father raised you up to kill from time you were really small, and your brother died and you were somewhat involved, right? And you can just see like how broken he is by seeing all of that. And then like he starts walking off and Harcourt's like, is that it? And he's like, no, your tits look stellar in that in that top. And I meant that as a compliment, not in a sexist way. So I just love how James Gunn just interjects like the comedy and like these really fucked up dark moments, and it works.
And it's just him not letting anybody see his trauma. That's what I think. It's anytime that Peacemaker seems like, oh man, I'm fucked up. Let me do a little dirty joke or whatever, so people can't see his true nature. And I like that about. I think that's something that he was raised on. Somebody like his dad probably made it so like, don't let anybody see you, cry or whatever, you wimp or whatever. Probably something in his childhood that he had to deal with. And now that is something that he just can't help. He just can't help it. Anytime he feels like he's about to open up or anything like that, he's always going to do a joke like that. And it'll be at the end of the show where he's by himself that we, see him actually be vulnerable.
Yeah, and I think it's doing such a great job of showing that humor as a coping mechanism. And also the way he reacted, even though the Batman scene is really funny, I felt like he was kind of acting like his father in terms of he calls him a pussy and calls Batman, and he's like doing these kind of like toxic masculinity type of tropey things. And it feels like, this guy is ultimately cutting to the core of him feeling guilty about all of the murders that he's done, or at least some of the murders that he's done. And here, I can't remember, someone said this is growth, but I think it really is. It's like he genuinely was reaching out to her about, what do you guys all know about me that I hide from everyone all the time and do my most. And then it's like, it breaks him open and really gets to the, my God, I was not expecting the show to go to hit me as hard as it did after this point. But yeah, that's a good, it's showing his coping mechanism well.
Yeah, so let's get into it. So that scene ends off with Harcourt just drinking her sorrows away while everyone else is cheering in the background, which is a really good parallel of how she feels versus the rest of the world. Kind of like her being a Black Ops agent, her seeing the things that she does so that the rest of the world can feel comfortable to just be at a sports bar just having a good time, right? And not knowing that there's a fucking invasion happening right now. So let's get into Chris is at home at the trailer park. He's smoking. He's hotboxing with the butterfly.
Never expect to see a hotbox on a comic book show,
right? He's hotboxing with the butterfly, drinking Jack Daniels, singing and dancing to House of Pain by Faster Pussycat, and then it's like he's reminiscing on all of these different things. He's thinking about what I'm assuming is his first kill that his father made him do. He looks like fucking 12, maybe. You know what I mean? Like, there's just horrible moment in his life. Him killing Rick Flag, his brother's death, and Vash, I'm going to kick it to you first, actually. But with his brother's death, I was looking at it. I saw the episode like 3 or 4 times, and I'm like, it almost looks like his brother was like defending him in a fight. Something happens that causes him to seize, and then he passes away, which would be a really fucked up moment for Chris, because then he wouldn't feel like he was strong enough to fight on his own. And because his brother had to step in, that's what caused his brother to die, thus him feeling responsible for that death. And then his father, I also feel like his father blames him for it as well. So does. Vash, I'm gonna kick it to you because I know you had something to say on the brother part of it, and then I'll kick it to you, Brian.
So I rewatched the scene the most out of the whole episode a couple of times because I was trying to understand with the whole flashback, and I know we're gonna get it more in depth in much of the later episodes, but I was trying to understand, like, did he have a stroke? Like, what was it that was going on for him to have that type of death? Like, was he poisoned? What was it?
I
Because
think it was
because
just like it's. I think it was just trauma. I think it was like blunt force trauma, and then it caused him to seize. That's what I think.
yeah. So I have that's my assumption that he has some type of seizure slash stroke, and that's what happened to it. And we definitely know that his father blames him because from what happened to see in the prison, the father does blame him. But also Chris, I feel like he blames himself, and that's why he's so hard on himself as a character, because that's why he puts these type of competition. That's why he puts these type of him being the best. With what happened with him in Bloodsport, who's the better shooter, who's the better killer, because he put himself as his father, put Chris and his brother to kill and everything. And this is probably, like James said, there's probably a little fight going on, and Chris could have handled it, and his brother had to come in and defend it, and it went south. It didn't go so well, and then after that, Chris probably blames himself on what occurred, and I feel like it's the worst type of feeling because it's like knowing that it wasn't really your fault, but you blame yourself because you could have done something, you could have been stronger, and that's the most dreadful thing as a kid, that you could have done something but you were weak, and that hurts anybody in any type of position, because knowing that you could have done something but you cannot take it all back, and knowing that he just fell drinking and collapsed and he was just in pain, but he couldn't cry, he couldn't express that pain without drinking, he couldn't feel that pain. And it's just, as a character, you saw that sorry, you saw that he just wanted to have somebody with him, but instead he had a bird eagle and he had a butterfly alien creature that was hotbox. So knowing that he's great with animals, which is beautiful because animals are amazing, but he had two flying creatures. I don't know if that supposed to be symbolic that he was high enough that he flew in the sky. I don't know, but it's just very sad and sadistic that Chris has lived a hard life, and for him to ask Harcourt that what was in his file, like Brian said, that what was on his file that he don't need to show or hide no more, or what is on his file that he doesn't even know himself. So that's also I'm so curious because who knows? Because I know in a few comic book runs of Peacemaker, I think his brother lived. So maybe that's something that also the James Gunn is trying to, throw a little Easter egg, or maybe people trying to guess like, oh, maybe his brother's alive. Who knows? So it's very sad, but I'm really curious to see in the later episodes of how his brother actually died, or to know more about the relationship. Because from my guess, the brother was between 10 to the age of 13, around there.
Brian, what about you?
So yeah, this moment kind of emotionally broke me, but now as we're talking about it, I don't know if you guys have seen the movie Walk Hard, the Dewey Cox story, but I got to imagine that for the entirety of his life afterwards, the father was saying the wrong son died. That's all I can think of now. It's just so fucked up. But yeah, this literally, I'm taking notes. I'm like, oh, him dancing around the house is kind of sweet and sad. It's like I relate to this, in terms of just like sometimes you just gotta. Lately, it's been Dawn FM that's been on, and I've been dancing around my house by myself. But it's like I totally get this sense of isolation, especially these days with the state of the world and the pandemic and the lack of access to seeing people as much as you may have in the past. For me particularly, I could relate to this kind of sense of isolation that he's going through. And what really broke me was when Vigilante turns and says, I think I made things worse. And I just totally sympathize with this so much. This idea of like, you have the best intentions, you're trying your hardest, you think what you're doing is right, but you've really just stepped in it further for all of the people you're trying to help. And
it's so humane.
It really has brought such, to this character who you start thinking this guy's a pure psychopath, that in terms of the way Vigilante acts, and it's similar with Peacemaker. And it really brought such humanity here that I was actually sobbing during this. And I'm not usually that affected by these comic shows this much. And I think it was because of the combination of comedy and the musical montage. In terms of the direction, the episode is just shining here with cutting back and forth between these characters. The music is perfect for it. I joked with James off air that it was like an episode of Scrubs. Scrubs always does these end of episode musical montages, but it just soared for me. And in terms of capping off the first half of the season, I thought it was magnificent, and it really gave me high hopes for where the show is going to go from here.
Facts, bro. Steve?
I really enjoyed it, the whole sequence in general. Just the trembling and everything when he has to make his first kill, and he's just, you can see like how like it really took a toll on him as a kid. And I'm wondering, this is another thing that I'm wondering what happened first, him getting his first kill or his brother actually passing, because they actually don't show that. So it's
Good
like
point.
Yeah.
Good point.
if the situation happens where his brother passed first,
I think it's after.
yeah, I'm thinking it's after too. But I'm
Because
like,
I watched it a couple times and it kind of looked like the kid was trying to like find the rage in order to kill this person, in order
and
to
then they
find the
show.
motivation. And I think the rage of not being able to save his brother and not being able to fight for himself based on what I think happened,
Mm.
that's what he has to tap into in order to kill. But sorry to interrupt.
Oh no, you're good. And then like just the person that's killed that's tied to the chair, when you do see the initial stab motion, he's like his acting is pretty good. Like even for him just to be an extra, his acting is pretty good. And then you get the next scene where his brother is like seizing and like the foaming at the mouth and everything like that. And you're just like, what happened? I want to know what happened with this situation, because even with the situation, his brother falls down and he's standing behind him. So it's clearly not a situation where I would hope they weren't like having a scuffle with each other. And
I was wondering about that too, Steve. If
that
if
would be,
it was a result of them fighting, yeah, that could
yeah.
be.
But when his brother fell, he was standing behind him. So I'm
Yes.
assuming,
Okay, that was definitely
yeah,
him. Okay.
I'm assuming
And then
that it's not that situation, unless he hit him in the back of the head, and that's even more.
Yikes.
yeah, and my from what I saw, there was like three type of shadow in the front. So I assume like there were three kids or three adults. So that's my assumption of what. And if it's three adults, I'm like, yo, why you guys beating up some kids? Like, what do they do to bother and annoy you so much for you to do this? So
Or it could be
very
something.
interesting.
It could be something really fucked up where dad is training them and he's going too hard, and then his brother starts seizing. And that could really be like the trauma, because it's like, I wanted your brother to live and not you. And then in reality, instead of him manning up to the fact that he killed his own son, he's putting the blame on the Peacemaker. That's just random things that just go through my head. And I'm just like, I really would like to know what the fuck happened with that scene. And I don't
Yeah,
think
man.
we're going to get it for a while. I think they're going to tease it and hang it over our heads until probably like the
Finale.
final episode. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm very interested and like intrigued to know exactly what happened with that.
Yeah, man. But this ending was brilliantly directed, edited, like you already alluded to, Brian. Like just cutting from the music, then you're cutting from Chris home alone, to Adebayo sitting at her desk, like dodging her wife's phone call. Because I mean, I think she just doesn't know what to say, and her wife can't relate to anything that she's going through right now. So why bother talking to her, right? So it's like that's going through her mind. We saw Harcourt at the bar already, and then Mern, he's at home watching what was it, Lethal Weapon, when they were over for like Christmas dinner, I think it was. So it's like that's interesting because we know that he was somewhat robbed of like any kind of like real life of his own. And then we get the big reveal that Mern's one of the fucking butterflies after he gets the call from Adebayo saying that she might have a lead. So it's like, first of all, did you guys see that coming, that Mern
Nope.
was a butterfly? And like, how surprised were you?
I was super surprised. And then not only was I super surprised, but then I was like, I guess that makes a little sense with the explosion because he was so close and there was not much damage really. So I was like, maybe that could make sense. But I really was was taken back by it. I was like, yo, because we really still didn't know much about Mern. You know what I'm saying? Even like when he talks about things and stuff like that, they don't go into like backstories or flashbacks or anything. So I was like, oh, okay, that kind of made sense. It was definitely like, it was crazy to me. I was like, no way that he's a butterfly. And for a quick second, even though we just saw the butterfly in the fucking jar and he's hotboxing the butterfly, I'm like, oh shit, the butterfly that he let escape got murdered. And then I just was like, oh no, wait, that butterfly's in the jar. Like it just, but like for a quick second,
You got high though. You got high as fuck. Like,
for a quick
this
second
pretty
though, I was just
good.
like, oh no, the butterfly escaped and it fucking got murdered. And then I was like, no, wait. So, but yeah, definitely it caught me off guard. I was definitely surprised by it.
Yeah, I was not expecting it either, but once it happened, so correct me if I'm wrong, because I've only watched these episodes once each, but I think there's a moment in one of the previous episodes where Chris asks him if he has a father, and he says something like, I wasn't born in a test tube or something.
in a
and
petri
back
dish.
to- in a petri dish. And it get back to what we don't know about the butterflies. It's like, it seems like that question has a lot more baggage now that we know who he is. And I'm sure on rewatch, this is going to change his actions throughout the course of it. But
Mhm.
the one thing that I wasn't sure what he was watching the second time, but when we first see him watching TV earlier on in the episode, something seemed weird to me about like what he was watching or the way he was watching it. So I was a little bit like, what's going on with Mern? Like
Right.
he's a little too like plain or something. Like, but yeah, definitely didn't see it coming.
And,
Vash?
and even oh sorry.
No, go ahead. Go
No,
ahead.
no, Steve, go ahead.
Even like you just said with the flashback episodes or episodes cutting back, when he goes to the bathroom and he's like, you were in there for a long time. He's like, so I'm supposed to tell you that I'm taking a shit. Now it kind of makes me think, oh, was he in there eating or something? Like what was he in there doing in the back? Because he was in private, you know what I'm saying? So you never know what's going on.
Forgot
with
about
these,
that one.
little situations now. But sorry,
That's a good
right?
point.
That makes a good point because I think it was Nova or Mercenary or somebody from chat in the beginning of the stream, in the beginning of our review. They said that when they were out eating in episode 1, back at the diner when Adrian Chase saw Peacemaker, he asked and everything. The only person that was not eating was Merm.
I'm gonna have to go back and pay attention to that too, because
while I read that and while you guys were talking, I went back to HBO Max and I scanned through and
sick.
they were right. Chad was right, and because Harcourt took a bite for food, John also Adebayo did as well. So the only one that didn't, Merm was just chilling, have his hand there the whole time. So it showed that he was not eating. Maybe he wasn't hungry. For us, audience, maybe it looked like that. But knowing what we saw right now in the end of episode 4, nope. He said, you know what? Let me just stick my tongue out in the ear syrup. And when I saw the tongue, I'm like, that's just creepy. Like the whole tongue just fell.
Yeah, it's so gross.
Top of honey.
There's something uncomfortable about it. Yeah. So
It is.
just
It's like I don't know. Like James Gunn did such a great job to make it feel like it, like a bit disgusted. Like, ew, like nah, that's just nasty, my G. But it just shows as that James Gunn is doing with his twist. It's doing good with people not trying to predict people did they could read between the lines or not. I felt like I didn't see the Mern being one of them. I'm glad that people did. I didn't, so I'm glad that I was not paying attention too well because it shows that I still need to improve on me reading between the lines and reading some characters better. But at the end of the day, that's so good about writers that some people can see what's happening, some don't. So it shows improves the point.
Yeah, this episode was incredible. Just us talking through this entire episode just shows me how much more I liked it than I did before. Like this is, like I said, easily my favorite episode of the first half so far. Seen the episode 4 times now. Incredible fucking episode. So many ups and downs throughout this entire episode. Absolutely loved it. Can't wait to see where 5 through 8 goes, because the finale is supposed to be batshit insane. That's what the reports are saying. So can't wait to see where that goes. So let's go around and get final thoughts before we head out for the night. So Brian, starting with you, any final thoughts at all on Peacemaker episode 4?
What a way to end the first half of the season. I had very low / no expectations for this show, and I don't know if that's part of why I'm so high on it here, but I am ridiculously impressed with this, and it could end up being one of my favorite James Gunn projects that I've watched, which I definitely wasn't anticipating either, because I've really liked the majority of the stuff that I've seen from him. I do want to shout out a gag that comes back in the credits that we didn't mention earlier. Walks like a duck. That is probably a duck, and just like fleshing. I love that sort of comic gag where
or it's
people
a
are
duck
diving
in some
into...
kind of human costume. It's like...
Yeah, it's like the sizes, the proportions don't work at all. Just I'm sorry to just talk about random things again, but I love that gag.
Steve, final thoughts?
I enjoyed the episode a lot. It's more so like just trying to like put my finger on Adebayo at this point. I'm trying to figure out, is she playing the game or is she actually a good person? So that's like my main thing. And then obviously the twist at the end, which no one saw coming. Well, there were some people that were in our chat that saw it coming, but I definitely didn't see Mern being a butterfly. But yeah, like just trying to figure out where Adebayo stands and what she's actually up to. That's really starting to like, that's really my thing that's drawing me into the next episode. And then obviously trying to figure out what's going on with his brother, like how his brother passed away. So that's the intriguing moments. This episode overall is, it's not my favorite episode. My favorite episode is episode 2, because of just the fact that that's when Vigilante was introduced, and Vigilante, well, I guess him in costume was introduced. And so far, Vigilante has been my favorite character. So that's the reason why I would say episode 2 has been my favorite. But yeah, this overall is my second favorite episode. It's really good.
Nice. Vash?
I love how this show, a lot of people last week say, oh, it curses too much and everything, but then it makes me ask people like, don't you curse a lot in your own life? Just because people don't record it, you do the same. So it's like people are so used to the family friendly, which is not a bad thing, but people are so used to the family friendly of the Marvel shows or regular shows on TV. But once we get a rated real life, talking about racism, talking about people of color, talking about cursing every 2 minutes or 1 minute of the content, it's like people say, oh no, that's too much. Like, no, that's taking real life. I curse a lot just because I don't curse a lot on my podcast of Sean Ronan, the Villains, anime podcast, or other shows. Don't mean that that's not who I am. It's a personality that we show on screen and keep it for entertainment. It's the same that in Peacemaker. I love how James Gunn pushes the boundaries, and I love how people are starting to love it. People are starting to turn. Abe is not here on the show, but from what I saw on the tweets, he's starting to like the show a lot more from episode 4 only. So it shows
this episode turned him around.
Yeah, it did turn around. So I'm very happy about that. So a quick shout out to Abe for that, because he couldn't tune in. So I want to give that, because it shows that James Gunn's writing, it does so well that it turns people around. It depends on the humor and everything else. And I love how he pushes the boundaries and gives these type of real life type of scenarios, that these are characters that we have seen. Yeah, of course, we don't see butterflies inside people, but the characters, the personalities we have seen in other people, friends, co-workers, and everything else. So I've been enjoying the show. Don't skip the opening. Watch the opening. Me, James, and Steve, and Abe, we will find a way to do the opening dance. I will find a way to convince them. I will find a way.
It's not happening.
We will do a TikTok. We will do the dance.
Nope. Won't happen.
I was about to say, with 4 people, that's not enough. Anyway,
I have an idea that I'm not gonna say live. I will say after, because I don't wanna hold them against me, my idea. But I will sacrifice one thing, and they might agree to it just for that reason. So
I still won't.
Them after.
I still won't.
Trying to sacrifice pancakes and cheese for a month.
I still wouldn't. You couldn't pay me to do that. But yeah, I posted a meme yesterday. I was like, one does not simply skip the Peacemaker opening. It's because it's just so
Don't.
funny. It's
Me,
just so good. Like I could never skip it, dude.
And
Sometimes
then
I
like,
rewind it so I can watch it again.
me too. It's just so entertaining and like it's just great of how James Gunn brought back TV opening because it's been lost over the years. It just shows credit, title, and boom. That's it. I'm like maybe it's because I'm so used to anime cartoons showing a bit of opening credits,
Yeah.
showing a bit of fight scenes and everything. And then back then with TV shows, they used to do that too, but they just kind of gave up on it or they didn't want to make the time and effort to do some type of production for it. But I love how James Gunn did this in his most wildly way. And I saw a quick interview about this that the opening sequence or credit is what Chris sees his in his mind in his world these characters just goofy because he tries to be expressionate. So that's his version of what goes of what goes along in Chris' mind. I'm like, okay, that
Interesting.
makes sense of why that makes sense of why this character just dancing goofiness and just popping out with the dance of the eagle. So it makes sense.
Yeah, man, but this show is incredible. Like you were saying, Brian, this is slowly becoming one of my favorite comic book TV shows, period. And it's only 4 episodes in, so high praise to James Gunn and everyone that worked on this entire show because it truly is incredible. So we're gonna wrap it up here for tonight. Can't wait to come back next week, talk about episode 5. Brian, tell the people where they can find you online and what the theme is for February on Popaholics.
Oh, so yeah, you can find me at True Popaholic, and our podcast is at Popaholics. And I actually have a second podcast now that I started with a good friend of mine, Peter, called Adaptations. That is at Adaptations Pod. For Popaholics, we're kind of switching it up right now. Our loyal host Christian Katie is bringing a child into the world with his fiance, so he's going to be taking a little bit of time off, and we're going to be trying to cover some new streaming releases. The schedule is still a little bit up in the air at this point, but our next episode is going to be The Tragedy of Macbeth, which is going to be out on Apple TV Plus, which I have had the pleasure of seeing already once, and it is amazing. So definitely excited to dig into that. As far as adaptations, our last episode covered If I Can't Have Love, I Want Power, the latest Halsey album and film that she made. And next week, I think next Tuesday, we're talking about the Radiohead project, which it was originally going to be an art exhibit with Tom York and Stanley Donwood, the longtime Radiohead art collaborator. Then COVID happened and it became kind of a digital exhibition that they released through Epic Games for free online. A very, very cool thing celebrating Kid A and Amnesia, the 20th anniversary of them. So yeah, definitely check those out. And thank you guys again for having me. This is always a pleasure. And I feel honored to be here and underqualified in terms of my comics knowledge, but I still appreciate you guys having me here.
You
Yeah,
brought
man.
great conversation.
For
Don't
sure.
worry.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, man, we loved having you. Can't wait to have you back. Seriously, like I'm gonna have all of you guys back on like rotation. Like I love listening
and
to you guys talk
same
about
to
stuff,
you
and I
all,
love
for
talking
sure.
to you guys. Yeah,
Thank you, man.
Steve, where can the people find you?
Yeah, you can follow me at Scuba Steve 1428 on all social media. Follow the Blur Mind Pod, and it's got a link tree, and it'll lead you to all of the members of the MI crew. They can lead
And the Patreon.
their tweets. Yeah, I was about to say, and the Patreon that we just started. We just started the Patreon. Hopefully, you know what I'm saying? We just uploaded all everything that we've ever recorded and things that we like never released on Spotify. So there's a lot of behind the scenes footage, things like that. And follow the link tree for the Blur Mind shop, get some merch or something like that. But yeah, that's pretty much everything that we got going right now. So yeah.
Vash.
You can follow me at Legendary Vash or everywhere else and at Anime Lately, where you find 2 of our shows, where you find myself, James, and Steve on the Anime Podcast on the weekly. Sometimes Steve will be there. And you'll find the Shona Ronan show where you see myself, James, Abe, Sam, and Ray. It depends on his on his daddy days, and we'll be covering my hero Black Clover on a bi-weekly or monthly basis now, and we substitute Undead Unluck, and we cover Jujutsu Kaisen this Sunday as well. We will be covering Boruto, the Naruto Next Generation, and Dragon Ball Super, the monthly series that came out this past week. So stay tuned. Time codes will be in the bottom as always to let you know what series and what time we cover them for you in case you don't want to be spoiled from other series you don't read. So definitely tune in, and we appreciate your support of the C4SVillains. Subscribe, like, share to your friends, share to your grandma, share it to your uncle. Go to jail and see your parents and show them the C4SVillains podcast as well. Connect to your family. Even if they're a villain, you should still love them.
Yeah, send it to your pet eagles, you know, your
That Eagles.
pet butterflies. Just get them to subscribe to the channel. But yeah, you guys can follow me all over social media at JB Exclusive. Follow me on Twitter if you want to listen to me talk about movies, comics, anime on a daily basis. I'm always talking about stuff on my Twitter. Head over to carefulforspoilers.com. You'll get links to the merch store, the Patreon, all of the podcasts on the C4S Podcast Network. The You've Got to See This is making a resurgence. That's going to be dope. I can't wait for Brad and Blake to get behind the mics again and talk about movies on a weekly basis. They'll be talking about new releases in the theater and on streaming, so very excited for those guys to kick that back up again. I love doing villains every single week. Next week is going to be episode 50 of Villains, which is absolutely fucking crazy. Can't wait to talk about Peacemaker episode 5. We were going to do a John Schnepp appreciation episode for episode 50, but I didn't want to disrupt the flow of our Peacemaker review, so we're actually going to save that as a special celebration episode once we're done with Peacemaker, because that'll be like right before Moon Knight. So I think that'll be a really cool thing to do there. But yeah, we have to honor the man John Schnepp. Without him, I would not be making podcasts. So we will be doing that. Make sure you guys stay tuned. We will be reviewing his film, The Death of Superman Lives What Happened. That's a documentary he did where there was going to be a Superman movie where Nick Cage was going to be Superman. Brainiac was going to be in this movie. It's wild. It's fucking wild. John Schnepp did an incredible documentary on the making of this film and what could have happened if it actually worked out. But instead, we got Superman Returns with Brandon Routh and everything. So really crazy story going on with that. So yeah, definitely stay tuned. I appreciate every single one of you guys that's been with us over the past 3 hours and 20 minutes. Thank you, Brian, for being here the last 3 hours as we talk about all of the different news and Peacemaker and everything. So again, thank you all so much for being here. Thank you for being in chat every single week. And we will see you guys on the next one.